Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How you doing? Welcome to our work session, February 20th, 2025. So the first order of business we have this morning is our energy conservation efforts.
Good morning, Commissioner. So Robert Mills is waking his way up. He is the head of our, what do we call it now? The Office of Resiliency and Asset Management. So, you know, this goes back to your conversation and your question about talking about the Ready for 100 resolution that was passed a couple of years ago. But so that was that's a resolution, but to understand the resolution, you really have to put in context what we've been doing for years, okay? Far before that resolution, and how we look at our energy conservation, how we look at our fleet, how we look at our buildings. And so we asked Robert, who's over all of this area, include our asset management, which means asset management is all of our assets. So they use data to determine where do we put our capital improvements, to where we don't wait for a break and fix it. We try to target our assets with data and information to stay ahead of, and that's how that program began. We added resiliency into that, and that's how that program grew over the last several years. So I wanted him to go through kind of a holistic picture, and then we can talk about, you know, the ordinance or anything else that you want to talk about. So with that, I'll turn it over to Robert.
Good morning. Robert Mills, Director of the Office of Resiliency and Asset Management. I'm here today, as Barry indicated, to talk to you and bring you an update on our energy conservation efforts that we do across the county in coordination with the departments. Energy conservation in Pinellas County for many years, as Barry indicated, has been a very important feature for us to improve on. Throughout the years, we've created coordinated efforts to work with the departments to improve and or reduce the amount of energy consumption that we utilize each year. We treat energy as an asset, as Barry had indicated, a very important asset. It's a very expensive asset, something that locally we cannot control the rates that's charged to us that come from Duke Energy or Withaluchi or TECO. So what we do is in our department is we look at industry standards, and we try, as industry evolves, we work very diligently on trying to bring those technologies to Pinellas County, and then we evaluate those technologies to make sure that they make a good benefit to the county that brings back a reasonable return on investment. So this slide, as you can see, is the energy conservation program. We demonstrate the past several years of annual billing. As you can see, we spend roughly about $20 million a year in annual billing. The energy usage there is billed in kilowatt hours. As you can see throughout the years, they've continued to stay pretty constant. That staying constant is a attribution to our ability to reduce our energy usage as new accounts are brought online or new assets are brought online. So we try to maintain that we stay level. Tracking the energy consumption data is very important to us. We complete energy audits on buildings in a level 1 or level 2, and I'll go through that in just a little bit. So it's very, very important to us. Evaluation of investments, really important for us, because we want to make sure that we're spending the money on assets or bringing new items in, technology in, that's very important to us to perform a good return on investment. Not just to do it because it's the newest thing out on the market. We don't want to be first, but we want to make sure that we bring those types of technologies to Pinellas County so that we can continue to be competitive and ensure that we're taking good control of our assets and our funds, okay? So ORAM stays connected to our utility providers. We stay connected to the local strategies. We stay connected to the national strategies, and we bring those strategies to us to evaluate. Duke Energy, we look at their utility rebates. So if there's an opportunity where we bring in an HVAC unit or electrical lighting or LED conversions, they've got rebates available for us. Those rebates aren't very large, but they still enable us to bring assets in at a lower cost. So, and then we also look at grant opportunities. Recently, we applied for a Department of Energy EEC GB grant, which can get us up to $384,000 to do retrofits that we've identified. So I talked a little bit about a level 1 and a level 2 energy audit. Level 1 is really the low-hanging fruit inside of a building or an asset. Those are really free audits that we can do that will show us lighting, electrical, improvements with HVAC, insulation, improvements in ventilation, whether we put different types of controllers in place. Level 2 audit really dives more into specifics of how much energy each particular unit is using. And what we want to do, our end goal is to eventually get to the point where we have sub-metering. And what I mean by sub-metering is each building may have a meter. We want to get down to the point where we can evaluate the asset that's utilizing that energy. And we may have 3 different motors setting in place, operating exactly the same. One motor may be drawing more energy than another, and we can be able to tell whether or not that motor has problems, whether if it's burning more energy, whether it's a bearing problem, premature failure or something. So we're managing the assets that'll eventually allow us to reduce the amount of funds that we are expending on energy usage. So next couple slides, I'm going to talk about the actions that we've taken. And I'm just summarizing. So in fiscal year 23, we did a LED street light conversion on metered lights. There was roughly 1,600 street lights. We saved about 2 million kilowatt hours a year, which resulted in about $128,000 in savings after installing the new lights. So the ROI, crazy high, about 2,000% per street light. That's the type of things that we're looking for to bring to Pinellas County when we're doing those evaluations. The next one showing on here is the CJC Energy Recovery Ventilation Rebate. Let me just first say what that is. That is a particular piece of equipment that sits inside of the HVAC system and exchanges the heat and turns that heat into a cooler air. So when we are recirculating the air, it's treated and it allows our HVAC units to work more efficiently. So that particular item was at the end of its useful life. We were evaluating that with our asset management system and it had to be replaced. So once we did replace that particular item, we applied for a $9,000 rebate from Duke Energy. Other actions taken in 2024, LED conversion project in urban forestry. We saved, as you can see, about 2,200 kilowatt hours per year, which was about $3,800 in annual savings. Our return on investment was 1 year. The equipment cost to the county was roughly $4,000. And that's 1 year, and we continue to receive savings each year out of that. HVAC replacements in 2024 with more energy efficient units. Again, those units had reached their useful life. As we evaluate through our asset management system, as we replaced those items, we secured rebates in the amount of $1,400. Not a lot of money, but it still continues to build as we do each particular asset. So it saved roughly 1,600 kilowatt hours per year and about $1,000 in annual savings. 2024, we increased our Duke Energy Clean Energy Connection Program. The Clean Energy Connection Program is a subscription program. It runs for 33 years. We buy energy credits with Duke Energy, that is solar. Through year 10 of that particular program, it will break even. When I mean break even is when the investments that we have put in, the subscription that is generated, the energy is generated from the subscriptions outweigh the cost of the program. So by year 10, the county will have saved roughly about $132,000. In the course of the program ends in 2054. we realize it's projected that we will have credits in the amount of $15 million. So it's a rather large program. We take great advantage of that. Also, this program, when we increase the amount of kilowatts, not kilowatt hours, kilowatts that we participate in this program, that increased our green energy, our energy sourced from green, from 40% to 56%, which in doing that, that gets us over our goal, our aspirational goal of 50% 5 years early. So it's, an amazing thing that we did there. 2025, EVs have been a very, very hot topic. We've evaluated EVs throughout several years. A few years ago, EVs were thought that was all that was going to be available to us. So we put actions and plans in place to evaluate EVs. To date, EVs have not, passenger EVs have not proven warranted for us to make the full exchange in EVs, so we are still studying that. Currently, right now, we have 6 F-150s that we're evaluating to try to determine whether or not they fit our operational model. We do have some EV utility carts, roughly about 80 of them. Those EV utility carts have proven very well for us, function very nicely. Reduction on greenhouse gas emissions have been significant. A small utility cart produces about the same amount of greenhouse gas emissions as a small SUV. So very nice change there. We'll continue to evaluate EV utilization, and if and when those things, those EVs prove prudent, we would again bring those things back to you for an evaluation. But as of right now, we have no plans moving forward to purchase more passenger EVs. In fiscal year 25, we also did a 900-ton chiller replacement at the Star Center. Rather large unit. It was again at its end of its useful life and required replacement. After that replacement, we applied for a rebate from Duke Energy and received recently an $18,000 rebate check. That was not included in the earlier slide because, again, that was through 2024 of our expenses. So when I come back to you next year and we're reporting about our efficiencies or things that we've gained in 2025, I'll be able to report on that $18,000 check, and hopefully I'll have some more benefits. Again, reducing the kilowatt hours in energy, roughly about 300,000 kilowatts a year in energy. And then lastly, for fiscal year 25, we did recently a detention center lighting conversion. This was a partnership with Duke Energy. It's a 6-year program, coordinated effort with CJC and Duke Energy. We brought a contractor in to convert old sodium-based LED lights old sodium-based lighting to LED, a large energy saving of 540,000 kilowatt hours. After program costs, the county will save roughly about $500,000. So the expected return on investment is at the 6-year timeline. So in summary, energy conservation for us it establishes the framework for a lot of the things that we do with our departments. We are integrated with the departments. We work very diligently with them. We evaluate the department's energy costs. We provide the departments with energy cost projections every year, and then we start to dive into what is making the department's energy costs go up, go down, modify, and whatnot. So we evaluate the changes in technology. As I said earlier, as technology changes, we really move forward to try to evaluate that technology to make sure that whether it's a good fit for Pinellas County or not. Okay?
And I think the main thing, Commissioners, we really wanted to get across is we look at cost effectiveness and return on investment in every single decision that we make. And we use data to drive that decision. And so that's the way we've approached it. And there you go.
Questions? Renee?
Good morning. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Please forgive this if this is really a dumb question, but I know that when we've talked about the construction for the new facility, there's been mention of solar, certainly, to go in there to assist with our electric costs. Are credits transferable?
I do not know 100% on that. Let me check on that for you. I think they are, but I'm not 100%.
But the issue of solar is we haven't found solar to be particularly beneficial in small panels. Like, you don't see them on our parking garage. They've evaluated, they've looked at them, but it doesn't have a return on investment.
It's the
You have,
grids.
well, you have to get size.
That's what I mean, the
you
larger
know?
ones.
And so like out at the wastewater treatment plant, they're evaluating, solar array out there. It may cost out, it may not. That's what they're looking at. But we haven't found that it made sense economically to do that in other areas. That's the reason we haven't brought a project to you. So
Well, I was just thinking, because that's going to be a large footprint out there. with
probably not
multiple-
enough though. Where's that break even? There's a certain, array, and we had this question, actually, Melissa brought this up with Duke Energy, and she said, why don't you have, array out at, Toy Town or whatever, because here they are, and they've been promoting this, and so then she got us hooked up with the people that make the decisions in Duke, around that, and they basically said there's a certain size, below that, it's just not cost effective.
That's correct.
And I don't remember, you may remember what that is, but it's, it's a pretty good footprint. And so, yeah, our building's size, but not to the size where it's cost effective for them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other questions? No?
Yes, I have lots of
Oh,
questions.
Chris, sure.
Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Chair. These actions that you've taken, would they be included in your resilient Pinellas plan, action plan, or would they be included in the 100 energy commitment?
So a lot of the actions that we take, we report out in our accomplishments each year. Some of the actions, for instance, the Clean Energy Connection Program, that is in the Resilient Pinellas Plan. So it really depends upon which action that you're looking at.
But the action plan is what we do, okay? The resilient 100 is more aspirational. It still requires us to go back and evaluate whether each project makes cost-effective sense or not.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a feel for what these programs cost, and I'm trying to understand, so that this resilient plan is where these costs, this is what's driving these, or these are things that we had to do, and it's got nothing to do with the resilient.
That's exactly right. So the Resilient Plan, the items that are listed in that are not, they are actions that may or may not have been already things that we were doing or included in our budget. Currently, right now, we are evaluating each of those actions in the Resilient Plan to determine whether or not we want to move those things forward. So some of them are items that are already budgeted. Other items have no budget included, and we're evaluating those items to really determine whether or not those actions still need to move forward. And that's, as any plan that we would do, we would each time before we initiate that plan, we are going to evaluate to make sure that there's a return on investment, and that return on investment is reasonable.
And I've seen where people say, well, you're spending money on, green energy or whatever. Well, it's no different than if we were going to put this type of gear into a box or this type of gear. You're looking at what's most cost effective. And so whether it's green or not, if it's cost effective, it has a return on the investment, then we move forward. If it doesn't, we don't. And so we're not really spending money, we're making cost-effective decisions.
Okay, so these action items that are included in the resilient plan, they haven't been budgeted for yet, or they have, and there's like $15 million.
I don't know what,
I just.
I don't know what it is, I can't answer.
I'm sorry, I just saw we were talking about energy, and a lot of the resilient plans are energy, so.
But the projects that may be in there, like a project to do the LED lights,
Okay.
If we're saying we're spending $50 million on energy, improvements, we're not. We're replacing LED lights in a cost-effective manner. It so happens that it saves, green energy or whatever.
So Commissioner,
Are we replacing lights that need to be replaced, or are we replacing lights because we just want to save energy?
Because they need to be replaced.
Okay.
It has to have a cost-effective return, or they don't do it.
so the action items that are listed in the Resilient Pinellas Plan, some of those items are budgeted already. Some of those items are not budgeted, and we're going to evaluate those to determine whether or not we're going to move those things forward. And if they do need to be moved forward, then a decision package, if needed, will be created, and it'll come before you.
So one of the things we did several years ago is we merged our resiliency efforts with Office of Asset Management. One of the reasons to do that is to where they can use data to make decisions on when to replace equipment. And then it becomes whether or not you use green or not. The same way you're making a decision about whether you replace the asset or not. So it's all linked together, and that's the reason we consolidated that down under one area.
Okay. All right, that's great. The Ready for 100 clean energy commitment, that was approved by the board, county commissioners.
It was.
Is this a binding, is this a goal that we set for ourselves?
It's aspirational goals.
And the targets, have we budgeted, do we know what achieving these targets is going to cost?
Since it's aspirational, it's the areas that he just talked about. We only do it if it's cost effective. So we can report out that we're meeting the aspirational goals, okay? But remember, they were cost-effective decisions. So, it's kind of both categories.
Okay.
That program is not driving the decision-making we're having. Those set aspirational goals by the board, and so we report on that, and we report on that in that manner, but it still doesn't override the cost-effectiveness decision that Robert talked about.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Does that make sense?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, I wanted to get up to speed on that, thanks.
Vince and then Dave.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Director. I really appreciate you coming and explaining, bringing a little bit more deeper understanding for a newer commissioner. I really appreciate it. But to really dial in on some of the claims, I guess, I appreciate you saying that there's no plans to purchase more passenger EVs. But in the presentation, I didn't really see an account for the charging infrastructure cost of the electrical vehicles that we do have. I mean, how much did that cost?
So we participated in a program that Duke Energy offered for EV, and it was called Plug to Play. And Duke Energy provided to us at no cost energy charging station meters and heads. Those meters and heads became ownership, after the end of that program, became ownership of Pinellas County. And I believe that was January 1 of 2024 is when they became ownership. So we own those particular charge infrastructures of the items that we currently have. We are evaluating right now what to, if and what that we want to charge for residents to utilize those charging stations. But currently, right now, they are being operated at no cost to residents. Through conversations and that we've had with Fleet, we have done an evaluation of EV infrastructure, and that evaluation, we've received that evaluation, and it's on the shelf, basically waiting for the opportunity or waiting to see if we in the future would need to move to EV and then what that infrastructure cost would be. So as of right now, because we have no motions moving forward with the purchase of additional EVs, that plan is basically sitting in wait.
Yeah, because if they break next year, I mean, you'd have to replace it to keep up with the infrastructure. So it's good that you guys are prepared for that scenario. And then I guess I just have a couple questions, really in like the first slide or so about the electricity consumption. So, I mean, even though, like, you look at year 2019, you know, our kilowatt usage is, 172 million, but then compare that to 2024, we're still paying, $3 million more, but yet using 2 million kilowatts less. So, I think to Commissioner Scheer's point, maybe what he was trying to get at, it's like these costs, upfront costs that we're having to spend to make these green investments and initiatives, even though if the price per kilowatt goes up, it really neutral out the investment, right?
So when you look at 2024's kilowatt usage, the thing that is what you don't see in there is we had a hurricane, actually 3 hurricanes that passed us, 2 of which had significant impact on us, where we went a period of time with basically no energy consumption, along with a lot of our energy conservation efforts that we put into place to reduce the kilowatt usage. So that is the reason why you see such a significant drop in the kilowatt usage. Along with that, there are tariff rates that the Public Service Commission approves from Duke Energy to each year on what the rate charges are going to basically be. And those tariff rates include fuel surcharge, operational costs. There's several different things that go into that. Some years, those tariff rates are increase. Some years, those tariff rates decrease. We, as consumers of that, have no control over that. Our only control is the facts that we either A, do make no changes, or B, we try to limit the amount of consumption that we do by putting projects into place or conservative approach to how we utilize, say, your lights or your settings and set points on your air conditioning units and whatnot.
Right, and I, appreciate that. So it's like we're not locked in at a price per kilowatt for 3 years from now, essentially.
correct.
What you're saying, we're at the mercy of our energy provider.
That's correct.
So when our energy provider says, hey, you guys convert, instead of using traditional fossil fuels, or here's a small rebate to incentivize the county to purchase something that would use less fossil fuels, but then in 5 years, jack up the rate of the cost per kilowatt, that really return on investment would be diminished.
Could be, yes.
Well, I mean, it has been, because we're paying more price per kilowatt, but yet have used less energy. So,
But if we don't put those things in place, your usage will continue to go up, and the price that they continue to charge us, whatever that is, will also continue to go up. So we're trying to put efforts into place to mitigate any price increases that we can.
right, yeah, I mean, but then we're not, counting into effect if, the cost of maintenance on more green,
That goes into the evaluation on an ROA. For instance, lighting, LED lighting has a significant less amount of maintenance costs associated with the operational usage.
okay, I'll yield back. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thanks, Robert. I got a couple of quick questions. And Barry's probably going to get tired of me asking about AI, but that's kind of my thing right now. Are we using any form of AI to evaluate other opportunities for energy savings?
Not at this time.
Okay, all right. If there's an opportunity to do that, I would encourage you to take a look at that.
So, Commissioner, you brought this up at strategic plan, and we've talked about this a lot at a staff level. In fact, Brian Zumwalt was a featured speaker at the Florida City and County Managers Conference, I think like a year and a half ago. And so I called him following our strategic plan and said, okay, really kind of where are we? Because it could be a strategic issue, right, or it could be an operational issue, right? And so I have an upcoming meeting with all of our department heads on March the 4th or something like that. I'm invited Brian to come to that, because I think we're we're tinkering around in different areas, not necessarily a full embrace. And so we're going to talk about that when we have strategic planning. Then I can bring kind of that discussion, and we can have a discussion about what that means. Because I think it's a great point, and I really didn't know where we were at.
And then lastly and then I think Dave, you had some comments, right? Have we changed out all of the streetlights to LEDs, or are there still some to be done?
No, there's still a lot to do.
Got it, all right. Because there's definitely a public safety benefit to that too, because the lighting is just so much better.
Yes.
So, okay.
It's clearer, different, you can control the color, yes.
Dave?
Yeah, good morning and thank you. Yeah, I guess I don't want to dive into the complexities of, per kilowatt and all that stuff. So waste and cost savings, to me, that's really important. Either we're wasting power, like the building that we sit in over there at the courthouse right now is a sieve, and it's not good. So when we move to our new facility, I'm assuming all the construction of built things that we bring to the table will be used to make sure that we're obviously doing things in an efficient way. So for me, that construction piece, and I assume we'll be seeing those trade-offs when we have construction documents done and getting prices on doing things a little differently and what that estimated trade-off and savings for power will be. So to me, that's just obviously something that we're going to do, and we're going to see those trade-offs. The LED lighting, to me, shame on us for not having done that sooner. I mean, to me, that is, you want to call low-hanging fruit, whatever you want to call it, it should be done. The savings are dramatic, the payback period is quick, and to Commissioner Scott's point, the lighting is a lot better. So I just don't know of the downside, and I'm not even sure that one should wait for, well, is the light about to end its useful life thing? It's just, I think that's something that we need to, find money and get it done and get the payback in a year or whatever it is. It's so fast, and again, public safety. HVAC replacement, that kind of thing. We're kind of at the subject to the newest technology, right, that comes along. So if we have a replacement, we go out and bid that project. Are the efficiency ratings taken into account for us when we make recommendations to this board?
That is correct.
Cost is obviously one, but we always get this, well, it's the lowest cost. That's why we went with them. Don't hear much about, well, the efficiency rating is twice what this other one was, but it's a little more costly. I think those trade-offs are important for us to understand. Again, back to the same thing about the construction of our new building, there's going to be some trade-offs on making it more cost-efficient.
And Commissioner, to your point, that's exactly the reason you have an office asset management. When you put in your bid specs, you talk about those things, and then they're bidding on what makes sense, not just what's cheapest.
Yeah, right. And so that's, again, that's just repeating things that, or I'm saying things that may just be repeating where we are. But for me, it's trying to be a little simpler outlook. And utility vehicles, I have no interest in solar on utility vehicles. I think it's absolutely a waste at this point. At some point down the road, there might be some other technology that comes along. I'm not talking about your what do you call them? The golf cart type.
Utility carts?
Yeah,
Golf carts?
I mean, I think that's a whole different analysis, but I think we're still a little ways off, especially on these large trucks. I mean, I see them being marketed and, on a retail basis, but from a wear and tear, I think it's what we use them for. I think we just have to be extremely careful on that. And I have no problem taking a look at the ordinance again, that we passed a few years ago and seeing what we now think is superfluous or maybe shouldn't be in there or whatever, because I think it does send a message to not only our residents, but it sends a message to our staff. And I want to make sure that it's reflected, a reflection of of the folks that are sitting around these tables. So
Understood.
I really appreciate your work so far. Thank you.
And to your point on the solar on top of utility vehicles, my company tried that on about 10 motor coaches.
We're not proposing that, are we? No.
Okay. All right.
We're
and
not
I-
proposing any type of panels or anything.
Okay, good.
I know you talked about, you tried it on the buses.
Yeah, I mean, it does save a little bit of fuel, but the return on investment is so
So far.
I was talking about added solid waste, that they're looking at a solar array and whether it makes sense out there.
Yeah, it might
And,
out there.
Wait and see what the, study says.
Yeah, just one more question. Number of stations that we have that are electrical charging stations that we have for internal use, and how many do we have for external use?
So I believe we have 31 internal, 31 total. 21 of those can be used, citizens can use. The rest of those are utilized internally to county operations for where operating departments may have assets that they need to,
I would think those are not available for residents, are they?
no.
Okay.
Not
So
the
those
10.
31 are not available for residents?
21 of those are. 21 of those are sitting.
10 or 11 are behind
That's-
in our facilities or where our cars are parked or whatever.
That's
And
correct.
the other 20, where are they located?
So we have a total of 31,
Right?
give or take, depending on
Talk about the ones that are publicly available.
publicly facing, 21 total publicly facing, and they're
Right.
spread all throughout the county. They're all over the place.
And who's, again, I think, and again, I just look at my hometown, I'll throw $1 on the thing that I mentioned, Dunedin again, but when they started the program there, they made it like available to the public. But even Dunedin, which seems to be, going further and further in that direction, has made it, where you have to pay for it. Because if they're not paying, we always talk about if they're not paying for it, then the residents are paying for it that aren't using it. So I think it needs to be a more direct use thing. But that's just my thoughts on it.
And Commissioner, we're looking at that.
Yeah.
When we were setting it up, it was a pilot. We didn't know kind of where we were going, didn't know what the utilization be. Frankly, over the last several years, where we thought the industry was going has changed, right? In just a very short period of time. It was actually going to cost us more money than we'd get, than we would recoup just on the billing system. And so that's the reason we just set it up as a pilot, but now it's going on. I think we probably should have evaluated that a year or two ago, but now we're going to evaluate that and come back to you with the results of that evaluation.
Commissioner, I can validate or verify the number that we have and get you the location where the publicly facing ones are.
I mean, I know there's some right out,
Yeah, you have two right
Couple
outside,
there.
outside the parking lot.
and they seem to be used a lot on the weekends, at night, after hours. I see them constantly being
Yes,
used,
sir.
and again,
And we track those. We get the data for all the usage for those
it
also.
would be nice to get maybe a summary of that to see what what kind of thing, what tree we're barking up, so,
Can do.
thank you.
Okay, anything else? Chris?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I wanted to just get clear in my head a little more about this Duke Energy Clean Energy Connection Program. Says we've increased our energy that we're using from them from 40 to 56%. Is that county asset wide? Is that,
Generation.
and then it also says we've exceeded our 2030 goal. I'm just assuming that's the 100. That's the goal that was.
That's the goals that are established in the resolution.
Okay. It also mentions that the upfront cost, what have we spent to date to purchase 56% of our electricity from their Clean Energy Connection Program? They make us pay in advance?
It's part of the subscription, so I believe that it's roughly about $3 million a year, and each year, and then at year 10, which is the break even, we'll start to receive credits coming back to us, but let me get back to you on the exact number, because I might be speaking out of turn.
We're paying Duke Energy $3 million a year to be part of this program, and on top of that, we're paying for electricity?
That's correct, but as the years go by, you receive credits that will reduce our overall bill. And so at the end, at the end of the program, if the generation rates prove consistent, we will have received $15 million in credits, which is more than what we would have paid to be in the program.
Is the electricity that we're paying for coming from this program, is it more expensive per kilowatt hour or less expensive?
You're paying for not the kilowatt hour, you're paying for the kilowatt, which is, there's a difference between the two. When we are purchasing in the subscription of kilowatt, you're paying for the ability to generate energy. And so at let's just say 1 megawatt, it generates a certain amount of energy, and that is what we would be getting the savings on. So if, for instance, the year where solar is, let's say we have a couple hurricanes and we're very cloudy, and so the generation rate of the solar is not as much, then the return on an investment would be shortened. I wouldn't say shortened, but it would be less. So it's like buying futures. It's really what we've done.
So do we have Commissioner Nowicki was asking about the cost of electricity. Are we paying a fixed rate that is going to be stable
Yes,
under this program?
we're paying a fixed rate per kilowatt, not kilowatt hour.
All right. Our power bill number is going to be fixed per usage under this program, or it fluctuates as well?
It's going to fluctuate as well.
Fluctuate. It's controlled by the, what is it, ICC?
The Florida Public Service Commission.
So when they request an increase, we get the increase.
Yes.
But we
When
would
they
have got that
provide the
either way.
break-even, yeah.
We're going to get that on either
Yeah.
side. Because they're always
Even
going
though we're
to
paying them
increase the
every year.
rates. I mean, they're a monopoly.
Right.
You know, so,
And each
Kind of like
year,
paying prepaid interest on a loan, you know?
and each
But our
year,
interest rate's not fixed.
understood.
I mean, the one thing we learned early on, we were talking about this with our power plan is, we wanted to see where we could use our own power. If we could use our own power, so we're
generation
paying, and he's going to correct me on the numbers, we're paying 7 cents over here, we're only getting 3 cents putting it back out on the grid, right? And that's the way it is. This is a monopoly. We can't sell our power out. Now, Paul's going to be in here, I think, next month, and he's going to really be talking about, because they went to that brokering, and they're actually doing well with it, but it's only 1 month in. But, that's one of the issues, it is an absolute monopoly.
It is a monopoly,
But
but
this-
we're not required to pay them $3 million a year.
We didn't, but again, when we brought it to the commission, we showed that it was a cost-effective decision. We broke even at 10 years, and from then on out, we're making money. And so even if the rates go up, the rates were going to go up on either side of the ledger.
Yeah, it was a long-term investment.
It's a long-term
It was a
investment.
long-term
and-
investment,
And
right.
truly, we can evaluate each year. We don't have to be in that program. We choose to be in that program. We can stop it at any point. And for us, what's important is not just to get in the program and forget about it. For us, Pinellas County, it's important to each year have the evaluation done to determine where that break even is and if the generation rate is still proving prudent. If it's not, then we, as Pinellas County, need to make the determination, hey, it's no longer viable for us, and we need to just get out of the program.
I just have one more question.
Okay, go Chris and then Renee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just one more.
No, go. You got one.
I apologize.
No, you go.
The subscription fee, what department of our budget does that come from?
So it's spread across multiple accounts. So all of you saw in the presentation, we have 1,600 accounts. The fees are charged to each one of those accounts in a certain amount. So a certain percentage of each department pays a portion of that fee.
What would happen is the general fund for general buildings, but then if you're out at areas that have their own enterprise fund, they cover their cost and things like that.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Like I said, I think you're here because I asked questions at our last meeting. I appreciate it.
Renee?
Thank you. While this is on a larger platform than a personal home, but it's my understanding, and if you are aware of this, you can answer. It's my understanding that individuals that choose to utilize solar, they may not recognize cost savings immediately, but over time, they recognize those cost savings and in some instances are able to sell energy back to the energy company, Duke Energy, which then justifies the cost that they paid to install the solar panels. So would you say that is a close comparison to the way in which we are operating under this program for the credit?
So that program that you just described is called net metering, and that's not what we are doing, but it's very similar.
Okay, that's why I said somewhere aligning in that, because I just want to make sure in my mind that I have that right. And I understand the concern about the cost dollar value, but for me, it's just like in any business. When you open a business, you can expect the first 3 to 5 years, you're going to be paying out more than what you get in. And then after that, you begin to realize profits. So for this program and many other programs, because we have several other programs that we participate in throughout the county where we pay up front, but then we realize the cost savings on the back end, and that's the whole purpose, so that we're looking at longevity. And the last thing I'll say is this is just the direction that the world's going in. So better to be ready and available and participating now than having to try to get on board later on. Thank you, Mr.
Anything else? Okay, Dave?
Yeah, and we took a chance on the solar piece on our house, and that net metering is effective day one. So the savings on your is real. There's also initially a lot of credits that were available, dollar for dollar on your tax return. So it was, it really dropped that return on investment to like about 6 years. Without the credits, it probably would have been over 10. So all of that factors in. Some of it's based on its own, some of it's based on the external encouragement, so to speak. I just think as we move forward, I think just balance always comes to mind, that we do things, as you say, with science and looking at metering and looking at all the things that you do before you make decisions. Data trumps everything else, and keeping in mind that we don't know what we don't know going forward the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. We don't drink reclaimed water here. They do in California. So we're not anticipating that in the next 30 or 40 years. That's our goal. And there's some of the same things with this. This whole energy is just fascinating, how it's going to evolve over time. So, but I think looking at it through the prism of data, but also keeping in mind that balance is critically important. Thank you.
All right, Robert, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Commissioners, I've heard a couple of you mentioned, do you want to revisit, do you want the resolution on a future agenda for discussion?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I just want to get direction. So if you want to put it on, you can
Yes.
consider it.
Yeah,
Yes?
let's do it.
Consensus? See four heads nod. Okay, I'm good. I'll put it on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks
Thanks,
again,
Robert.
All right, next up, retail pet ordinance.
All right, and our interim director, Jennifer's on her way up, and so she's going to give you an update. I know she came around and did one-on-ones with each of you. I thought it would be a good discussion to have. I think there's still a few questions between commissioners and how you want this drafted. So we're here to really go through that, get your direction, then we can bring back any ordinance modifications. But we want to get clear consensus before we go posting ordinances and things like that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Jennifer Renner, Interim Director for Animal Services. I also have with me Doug Templeton from our Consumer Protection Division and our Enforcement Manager, James McGill. So they'll be available to answer questions as we get into some of your concerns or additional questions. following the presentation. As Barry said, thank you so much. I appreciate your time last month meeting with me to get some of your feedback regarding these recommendations. This will largely be a review of those concepts and things that we recommended. However, I did meet with our legal team after our meetings, and so I did clarify some of those legal questions that we had that I said were still outstanding, and I'll highlight those as we go through the presentation. So we're here today to present our formal recommendations. I know we've been discussing this for quite some time. There have been other workshops regarding this information, and the board has asked us to research and provide recommendations to strengthen animal welfare standards in the retail puppy stores, to introduce a consumer education program to enhance consumer protection in the puppy stores, and also to address some of the lack of oversight in the commercial breeding industry, and that's what our recommendations are going to show you. So we'll start with an overview of the retail pet store industry. We do still have 6 retail puppy stores operating in Pinellas County. In 2024, 4,800 puppies were sold. 48% of those were sold to customers residing outside of Pinellas County, and this is very similar to the numbers we saw last year. Of those 4,800 puppies, we had 3 consumer protection complaints, all related to the puppy's health. Our enforcement department also investigated 22 animal welfare complaints and issued 8 citations. 7 of those were administrative, which is generally due to missing or inaccurate information on the point of sale forms or the puppy's health certificate. And 1 of those was an animal welfare citation related to the death of the husky puppy back in July that was highly publicized. The store owner received an animal welfare violation citation of $148 for failure to provide veterinary care, and it was paid as well.
Go ahead, Brent.
So for that individual citation,
Yes.
not only did we engage with a fine, but do we also follow up to assure if it was something that was related to shots or whatever, do we follow up to assure that that pet also received the services and not just we're fining them and they're continuing to be negligent?
Yes, after the death of the husky puppy, we did we performed randomized inspections of all 6 retail pet stores. At that time, we did not find any additional violations. We also received a necropsy report from a veterinarian from Missouri. That was 1 sentence basically saying that the cause of death was unknown. So we did follow up afterward, and like I said, no additional violations were found. You're welcome. The puppies coming into Pinellas County are sourced from USDA commercial breeding facilities. We brought this up, of course, at a previous workshop with an Inspector General report regarding the USDA and their APHIS division, and the deficiencies the Inspector General pointed out related to their inability to annually inspect the 2,400 commercial breeding facilities in the United States, and their lack of follow-up on over 800 violations. Because of these deficiencies, the board asked our previous director, Doug Brightwell, and our previous board leadership as well, to meet with Dr. Croney, who is the head of the Purdue University Canine Care Certification Program. This program was developed in 2013. It's based on standards called pillars that are in place to help introduce ethical and humane standards into these commercial breeding facilities. The 5 pillars are behavioral health, things like socialization for the puppies, physical health, looking at nutrition and genetics, environment. They want to ensure the puppies have proper kennels and have access to outside. Also, breeder life and humane rehoming for the moms so that they're not being overbred and so that they are ethically rehomed instead of euthanized or sent to auction, and caretaker expectations. This is continuing education for the caretakers of the puppies and ensuring that they have a model of low-stress handling so that they're doing everything they can to have a more humane environment for the puppies. This is a voluntary program. It's also audited by a third-party independent auditing firm, and at this time, we currently have, if you look at the map here, if you look at the map up here, we have 226 certified, canine care certified breeders, and about 369 in the process. This represents a total of about 25% of those 2,400 USDA certified breeders that are either in the process or already certified. And like I said, it is also a voluntary program at this time. I did notice, however, that some of our pet stores, as well as the puppy brokers that are involved with bringing the puppies into Pinellas County, are incentivizing and promoting this canine care certified program. So taking all that research into consideration, our recommendations come to you in a three-pronged approach. We're looking to strengthen the animal welfare standards in the retail pet stores. We are also leading an education initiative to help protect our consumers, and also introducing enforcement measures to ensure that the stores are in compliance with these standards. Starting with animal welfare standards, the first recommendation is housing, which we always look to best practices when we recommend these upgrades. For housing, we're recommending the integration of a solid resting surface into every single puppy kennel. Currently, the majority of the pet stores I visited already have this in place. However, some still do rely on a fully graded surface, which is not healthy for the puppy's paws. They end up having injuries to their paws, which causes pain and, of course, mental decline for them as well. We also recommend increasing the inspections in the pet stores to twice per year. We currently perform one inspection that can be unannounced. We'd like to increase that to 2 to ensure the standards are upheld throughout the entire year and not just once a year at that one-time inspection. And during the inspection, we'd like to ask the pet stores to submit a standardization of their protocols. They currently, in our ordinance, need to provide us with an isolation protocol. If a puppy becomes sick, they have to remove the puppy from the floor. It has to be placed in a separate area of the store with its own ventilation. That's already in place. We'd like to also ask that they submit a cleaning and sanitation protocol, a disaster plan, animal enrichment to be sure the puppies are getting out of their kennels, that they have adequate toys in their kennels for mental stimulation, and the after-hours veterinary care, and a disaster plan as well. In addition to the protocols to introduce more transparency into this industry, our pet stores already submit a point-of-sale form and a health certificate for every single puppy they sell every month. We would like to request they also submit a monthly transport list showing that all the puppies are arriving into Pinellas County alive and well. In addition, if a puppy passes away, we'd like to request that the pet store submits to us first of all, they have to notify us within 3 business days, which is a change from what we originally spoke about. After speaking to our county attorney, they recommended moving from a 1-day time notification period to a 3-day due to weekends, holidays, giving them that additional time to be able to inform us. And if the puppy does not receive veterinary care, if there is not a definitive diagnosis, we'd like to request that a necropsy is performed at an unaffiliated agency, such as University of Florida or a veterinarian not affiliated with their retail pet store. Our final animal welfare recommendation is sourcing requirements from a science-based program, which is the Canine Care Certified Program. We recognize that only approximately 25% of those USDA licensed breeders are involved in this program, so we would like to offer a phased-in approach of approximately 12 months where the pet stores would have time to form those relationships and be able to move over to this model. For the consumer education program, this is Pinellas County driven. We would like to include the graphic in the front here, this one right here, would be a kennel card. We'd like to include kennel cards on the puppy kennels, as well as the one in the back here is more of a poster, and that would be near the register. This is something to help our consumers become educated before they start signing the paperwork on their rights involving the pet lemon law, as well as predatory lending warnings, and just being an overall responsible pet owner. The website you see on there, pinellas.gov/pet owner, is already live on our website and goes over all of these concepts. We also would recommend for the consumer, for transparency and to protect the consumer, that the original OCVI, which is the health certificate, is placed on the front of every puppy's kennel. This OCVI will tell the consumer where the puppy came from, who transported it into the county, any pre-existing health conditions, and affords the transparency to the consumer before they begin the process of the purchase. Currently, the OCVIs are available in every pet store. They're in a binder. The consumer has to ask to see it. This would, again, give them that transparency. And the final recommendation on here regarding the lemon law, increasing that reporting time frame from 14 to 30 days. After meeting with our county attorney, and because we don't have a reasonable basis to increase this time frame, since we don't have the consumer complaints regarding it, the county attorney recommended that we stay in line with what our Florida statute recommends, which is 14 days. However, if we start seeing more complaints coming in regarding not having enough time, we will revisit this. Our final recommendation involves the enforcement measures that we would like to see put in place in order to ensure compliance in the retail pet stores. We already have the ability to suspend or revoke the pet dealer permit. However, this clarifies those expectations and sets those expectations for the pet stores. For animal welfare violations, we're asking the board to increase the fine to a $500 flat fee. It's currently $148 for the first offense and then up to $500 for each subsequent offense. We'd like to keep that at a flat $500 to represent the severity of this type of violation. We would also like to suspend the pet dealer permit for up to 14 days when an animal welfare violation is cited, in order to work with the pet store manager to collaborate with them on a corrective action plan and also to perform an investigation. Going back to the husky puppy death, in the video, it appeared that the husky puppy had neurological symptoms, which could be a differential diagnosis of distemper, which is highly contagious and infectious. It could affect our pets in the community as well. By having an up to 14-day suspension, that's best practices for a quarantine protocol. That way, if there are any other puppies showing symptoms, our officer will be working with the pet store manager to make sure that those puppies are quarantined and treated as well. And if also along that lines with administrative violations, if there's 3 or more of those within a 3-month period, we're going to ask the pet store for a corrective action plan. It gives them the ability to identify the issue and to correct it. If they don't submit it, we would have the ability then to suspend their permit. Their fines would remain the same, $148 for the first, up to $500 for subsequent. Administrative violations, like the missing information on the point of sale or the OCVI, which is the health certificate, could actually affect consumers' rights to exercise their rights through the pet lemon law. So these are important too, which is why we would like to have this corrective action plan in place. And if they have 2 or more suspensions within a rolling 24-month time frame, we would like to suggest that we have the ability to revoke their pet dealer permit at that time, and an appeal could be available, appeal process would be available through the special magistrate. All of these things would just give us the ability to clarify those expectations with the store and be able to set those standards here in Pinellas County for animal welfare and consumer protection. And also to let you know too, commissioners, when we suspend or revoke a pet dealer permit, they still have the ability to stay open for retail business. They just wouldn't be able to buy or sell puppies during that time period. Those are all of our recommendations, but I also just wanted to take a minute to say thank you again and to show you a preview of our kennel renovation project. We also have the renovation project happening in the building next door for our new medical unit. And you will all be receiving an invitation in the near future to attend an open house and take a tour of the facility if you haven't already been there. So thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to that. I'm sure we have questions. Commissioner Lettville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 questions. On the pet dealer permit revocation, have we ever had somebody that had 2+ permit suspensions within a 24-month period?
Not recently, Commissioner. Jay, would you like to come up? I have our enforcement manager here, and he may be able to answer if something had happened in the past, but not recently. We have not.
Okay.
We had a kennel that received a violation. We suspended the permit, and then we worked with them. They corrected the violations, and then they received the permit back. But we haven't had any with the retail pet stores.
Okay, but there was a kennel that would have qualified
Yes.
for this?
Yes,
How long ago was that?
2 years ago.
Okay. On the inspections, now that we're going to 2 instead of 1, would those be spaced out? Or, and I know that they're not announced, but if like an inspector goes and there's an issue in a pet store, would they go back immediately, or how would that work?
If there's a violation or something that, verbal warning and something that needs to be corrected, our officers would revisit that within days, weeks, depending on what type of violation it is. But as far as the 2 annual inspections, those would be spaced out, and that way we can ensure that compliance is happening all throughout the year.
Is there a possibility that there would be more than 2 inspections if there are issues?
There would only be 2 formal inspection processes. The others would occur when we receive any sort of complaint. So those 22 animal welfare complaints we received last year, those resulted in an informal inspection. We were basically investigating the complaint to see if it was legitimate, and then going from there.
Okay, and those were from, and those 22 complaints led to 8 citations?
Yes, we wrote 8 total citations.
How many stores did that represent? Do you know?
Out of the 8 citations, I know, speaking with Mr. McGill, we had 2 to 3 stores total that were involved.
Okay, all righty, thank you.
Commissioner Peters.
Thanks. So I don't like the 14-day stop the business. I know you're saying they can still do retail, but I'm sure they can isolate the puppy, and if they need to isolate the puppies, they can isolate the puppies, but I don't like the idea of when I first read this, it looked like it was very anti-business. If we force somebody to shut their business down for 14 days, that, how do you keep your business afloat? What do you do with your employees? How do you pay the bills? So to me, I was looking at it as not very business-friendly, and almost as if it was kind of not like setting up a trap, but I think there's ways to do this without being harmful to the business too. And I know you went to the stores and talked to people, but what I would have liked to have seen was a collaborative effort with the stores and maybe some rescue owner, people that own rescues, and come together on this and really hash out, because I'm not seeing any enrichment things in here. I'm not seeing other things that I think you heard from the store owners that they said would be good to be included. And so I kind of would have liked to seen more of that. And I do think this, I don't like the suspension 14 days. I think it's anti-business. I like that we're looking at the Purdue thing, and I'd almost like to see, do our rescues have the same protocols? Are we looking at them with the same protocols, that they would have 14 days if there's a, I know rescues don't do puppies that often, but do they have the same protocols?
Yes, so rescues generally are pulling animals from other shelters that are requesting their assistance.
But there's no inspection, there's no protocols, if they have a sick dog, if they're not using the right kind of kennels, is it the same standard?
We do work closely with our rescue partners, and we do actually inspect those that want to sign up as a rescue partner with us. Our enforcement department does inspect them.
Okay,
So
but do they have the same
that.
standards?
Yes, they do have that process in place.
Okay, so they have the same standards, and the same with the cages, and the same with everything else, right?
Yes, so our officers do go into every boarding facility. They investigate all the rescues. They have to fill out an application in order to become a rescue partner, and our enforcement officers do go out and inspect them before we approve their application.
Okay. So you said that 4,800 dogs were sold. I mean, 4,800 dogs were sold, and what would be your thoughts if we allowed retailers to also have rescues?
I think that would be a wonderful addition. I think that if we decide to move toward science-based standards, so the Canine Care certified puppies coming into the county, that might reduce the amount of puppies available to our retail pet stores to purchase. Therefore, moving to a collaborative model where shelters and rescues are also involved, where they could supplement in their store and help to support adoption, fostering, you know, that kind of process would be wonderful.
Why do we have to have the, I mean, I love that, and I really would like to see that, you know, those standards, the Canine Care certification. And then since, you know, 25% have already voluntarily gone there, you're not mandating that they have to get their dogs from those breeders, are you?
We are recommending that they are only able to purchase puppies that are from USDA licensed and Canine Care certified breeders. And like you said, Commissioner Peters, when visiting the pet stores, 4 out of 6 of them already said they have about 20 to 40% of puppies in their inventory currently are from Canine Care certified breeders. And they talked about the benefits of those breeders.
Yeah, I see that they're benefits, but if there's one particular breed that they want and they don't have a breeder that's certified, I don't think you can mandate across the board that they all have to be that. But I also don't see why, if the demand for dogs is so high in this county, which it is, why they can't expand and save some other rescues too and do both. You know,
Correct.
do rescue, do retail. But I would like to see some other stuff like enrichments and things like that. And I don't want to be anti-business on this. And since the demand is so high, I wouldn't even mind expanding retail stores. I know we limited them to the 6. I don't think we have to go with that grandfather. I think we can expand that. It's very clear where they banned retail, like in California. It's coming out, the black market. And the articles I was reading about what's happening in California with the black market, they're funneling in those black market dogs to backyard breeders and boutique breeders that, and I don't know that are we looking into our boutique breeders and our backyard breeders, and are we holding them to these kind of rigid standards?
We do inspect hobby breeders, so they're also inspected, they're also held to these standards. However, as far as backyard breeders, we do have officers who do go through and looking at things like Craigslist, looking at those signs on the side of the road, and we do investigate, and we do end up citing them if they don't have a proper breeder permit, and educating them on the process of doing it legitimately.
So we haven't found dogs getting funneled into Florida as a result of, since we have retail sales, we're not going to see that. Other counties where they've banned retail sales are probably going to be finding that if they're looking for it.
Well, and I do know, Commissioner Peters, Indiana, for instance, reversed their 21 bans.
Yes.
And their new legislation also requires the retail pet stores to purchase puppies from USDA licensed breeders only, as well as Canine Care certified breeders. So it does seem like that's the future of this industry. That seems like that's where it is leading us to.
Yeah, I think when there's enough breeders, then that it makes sense that are certified. But yeah, I do have a problem with the permit suspension. I don't want it to be anti-business, and I don't want them to all of a sudden have trouble paying rent, paying electric, paying employees, paying whatever. I think that's problematic.
And Commissioner Peters, that suspension would be up to 14 days. And so that would be more specific to an issue if we see parvovirus, something like distemper, something that could potentially be contagious, infectious, and affect our community. If it's something like a citation for animal welfare because the housing is not appropriate, that generally could be corrected within a few days.
Right, but see, these aren't laid out for us to understand that, right? And I certainly don't want a mistake to happen and they get a 14-day suspension.
Right.
But I'm not sure I'm okay with that. I think if they have to isolate the dogs, that's different. That's a veterinary protocol or a medical protocol. I don't think it's a penalty.
Okay. And two, that's something we could clarify, that our officers, depending on the violation, depending on what's going on, so if we walk in and there is like a parvo outbreak, that we would have the ability on a case-by-case basis to, again, suspend the permit to make sure all the puppies are improving, getting the care they need, and then reopening once it's safe to do so. But it wouldn't have to be something, in other words, that if we're not happy with the language in there, it could be something that we are able to do on a case-by-case basis based on certain parameters.
Yeah, I'm not happy with the language that's in there. And again, I would have liked to have seen more things that had enhancements and things like that, that were encouraging. I mean, if we're encouraging them to get from those breeders, I think that's great. I think we can encourage them to do enhancements for the quality of life. I think we should allow retail to also partner and do shelter dogs if they want. You know, if we can get more people happy to get the dogs they want, the appropriate dog that's appropriate for their family. You know, they may go in to look for a puppy, but might find a rescue that would be a better fit for their family. So we got pet store people in here. I don't know if you support that. You do support that? Okay, I like that. And, you know, less dogs get euthanized that way. We certainly don't want retail to go away. If we're going through 4,800 dogs, we don't have enough shelter dogs to meet the demand. If you look at the demand that we have already, plus the 48 that they've sold, that's a lot of dogs that are in demand. So, yeah, and I would even consider changing that ordinance, not banning pets retail stores. If you're seeing Indiana completely turn it around and allow retail sales, Manatee County took out their ban because there have been some unintended consequences that are negative. And so I think that's something else that we ought to consider and allow retail businesses to operate in Pinellas County without the restrictions of only 6. And the ordinance we have says if they go out of business, a new one can't come in. So we're phasing them out altogether, and I just don't think that is really in the best interest of the animals. If other states are seeing bad actors, then we certainly would too if we start closing them down. So that's my comments on this. I really would have liked to have seen, because I did talk to some of the pet store owners, and they said the recommendations that they made to you, they're not seeing in here. And so I really wish there had been more of a collaborative, you know, bring the people together and talk about it and do it that way versus just stopping in and visiting, but really have real dialogue. And I think you would have come up with a better product, really, as long as you had the people at the table that are in the business, not advocates, but people in the business. So that's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Peters. And I did want to just follow up real quick when I did meet with the pet store owners. And so in the standardization of protocols, that's where we're really going to dig into things like animal enrichment and our recommendations for getting the puppies out of their kennel, making sure that they have the proper enrichment toys inside their kennel. That goes into the standardization of protocols. I spoke to pet store managers and owners who wanted more input from us into cleaning and sanitation protocols. And so I did take that into account in the protocol section. I'm sorry, I did not go into that in depth. And I did also work with the pet stores to understand where their concerns were with the Canine Care Certification Program, which is why we decided to go with the phase-in approach. And then beyond that, also the consumer education, the posters, the flyers. I want to be sure that we're not covering all the puppy kennels with all this information. So we discussed ways around that as well. But overall, we had support, and it was a good conversation.
Commissioner Flowers and Commissioner Eggers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the all animal welfare violations, what we have here, it doesn't say up to, it just says result in immediate 14-day pet dealer permit suspension. So if it is up to, that language probably will need to be changed. But I would like to see that in a two-phase approach, because under your revocation system, you have that 2 permit suspensions within a 24-month time frame would be a revocation of their license. The reason I'm suggesting that be a 2-tier approach, so maybe your first time you get a $500 fine, and your permit suspension is 5 days. The reason I'm saying that is because just like our health departments, when they go into restaurants, they close them down, based on the inspection of what they find. They go back for reinspection, and if that reinspection can be done in 3 days or whatever, they do that reinspection, and then they allow them to open back up for business. So that's why I'm suggesting maybe we look at doing that, because many restaurants get it together and then they're back open within 2 days, 3 days or whatever. So they're back and they're not out of business for such a long period of time. And maybe that would help alleviate any issues or concerns with longevity and possibly going out of business. I think you said the fine would be a flat $500. You know, this may not be popular, but I would look at an elevation plan. So maybe the first fine is $250, the second fine is $500, and then after that, they're looking at revocation. So I would like to share that. If a pet store they're selling puppies and other animals, and it is the dog that may have the issue and concern, and that they get fined for that, and they need to isolate the dog or whatever, would there be consideration to allow them to remain open for the other pets that they're selling? Because I've gone into PetSmart when my grandson wanted fish, and they had other animals in there other than dogs. They had a fish, which is what I went to buy, and they had some birds, and they had other things. So my question is, if it's a store like that, would they be allowed to remain open for the other items, plus all the other stuff that they sell, food, cleaning supplies, crawling cages for cats, all that stuff?
Correct. The pet dealer permit affects their ability to buy and sell animals, so that would be put on hold while it's suspended. However, they still could be open for retail business and services too.
Okay, so that it may already be in a larger plan that may be explained, but since in the presentation I didn't see it, that's what made me ask the question.
Correct. Thank you.
And then for others to do it. But those are my thoughts, to see, first tier, the X amount of days, second tier, because that's pretty much what has been a standard when there have been issues and concerns that involve the health and safety of even the public. So.
Right, the humans as well. Yeah, I appreciate your feedback, Commissioner Flowers. We'll look into that.
Commissioner Eggers.
Well, first of all, I'm understanding that the Manatee County did reinstate their ban, so just for that information. I'm not quite sure where to begin on all this. I really, started this whole conversation a year or two ago about just upping the standards, and I look at the pet store owners, and I would think that every single one of them would be in total agreement with that. It's interesting when people go to see their babies behind the window when they're born. They have all kinds of cameras. They have all kinds of pictures being taken. I don't know why there's a problem with people being able to take cameras into these stores. We wouldn't have probably caught the one situation that occurred that you talked about without it. I think about groups that I'm involved in other areas, and being upset sometimes by people that bring a different argument to the table, and sometimes it bothers me that they're so against the mission of whatever we're dealing with, so some of that. As I look back on my being upset about it, has become a good thing, because what it does is it challenges us at the moment to, if we can get over the hurdle of that person's concerns, then we're probably going to be smoother sailing down the road. So for me, I think in a kind of an awkward analogy, I think we need to make sure that we are opening it up, letting people see everything. I don't understand why there would be pushback in stores for letting people bring cameras and taking pictures. Sometimes it's to show their family members. Sometimes it's folks that are concerned about the way animals are being treated. And if they find out that maybe one of the pet store employees isn't doing what they're supposed to do, if I'm an owner of that store, I want to know about it. And so I think we sometimes swing, and I'm as pro-business as anybody else is, but when you have a business of this type, it's different. It's different because you have live animals, and one is too many. One child being, dying under care is too many. One animal being killed, we have a court case going on right now over something just absolutely disgusting. It has nothing to do with pet stores that we're having this discussion about. But it's just an industry that we have to be so vigilant about and over than the normal business, because it involves living creatures and it involves emotions of people that are buying them. The number of people that have, complained about things. I got a cat from a cousin, or excuse me, a niece, and she said, "Oh, it's just a great cat." And I got the cat and I found out it's deaf. And I said, "How long did it take me to find that out?" Because it's a loud meow. And I took it to the vet, and they said, "Yeah, she's deaf." So I called my niece, and I said, "Did you know your cat was deaf? I'm going to keep the cat anyway." But there's an emotional attachment that's created that says, "I bought this dog, and I'm going down with the ship, so to speak, if it has a problem." So I just think that, again, pet stores have that, without question, a higher standard that they need to open themselves up to, and it shouldn't be a problem. It may be a little rocky, but in the end, if you've got folks that are looking over your shoulder, and those folks are pretty happy with what's going on, then that's a good thing for stores. And again, you all chose to be in the business, and it's different. And so I just want to make sure that, I do like the direction that we're going. I like the direction that we're heading in terms of the inspections. I would have no problem. I think Manatee has some language in there that says, I think it may be up to 4 or as deemed appropriate by your office. I don't think we should limit it to 2.
Okay.
I think we should have more than that. I think we should have at least 4. But if you want to say 2, but at the discretion, there can be more. Sole discretion, so it's not like, well, it has to meet a certain standard. Again, if we're inspecting and we're not finding, that's a good thing for retail stores. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's okay. So again, I just think the direction we're going, I think, is admirable. I have no problems with the up to 14 days. You mentioned the reasons you might want to do that. The closing of that part of the business can be for different reasons, right? Could you explain maybe what some of those reasons might be? Because I think there's different levels of severity in that. It's not just, they all of them are the same.
Correct. That the suspension of up to 14 days would occur if a citation is issued for neglect, so failure to provide veterinary care, if the housing is inadequate, if it's inhumane, if there's rust, sharp edges, the puppies, they have too many puppies per kennel. And some of those things, like I said, could be corrected very quickly, and so the suspension wouldn't be for a full 14 days. For instance, with the husky puppy, I'll continue to reference that because it's the latest example that I have. It was potentially something that was contagious, that was something that could have affected our community, that could have come into even our shelter. And so when it's at that caliber, and if the puppy would have been receiving veterinary care, they would not have received a citation. The store owner did not take that puppy to the veterinarian. And the puppy died as a result. And so that is a much more severe example, and that is when something like a 14-day suspension would occur. Other than that, I don't see any other violations from 2024 or 2023 that would have resulted in that suspension. That's strictly for those extreme cases.
The replacement, and I'm going to jump a little bit here, but when pet stores receive animals, and I want to talk a little bit about canine care certification. Is that Purdue?
Yes, correct.
I would be 100% supportive of that. The USDA is a joke. We know that. And I would also agree a phase-in period, I think, is important to give time to trying to get the pipeline of animals, going. So I think that's going to be important as well. But I do think what's interesting is that we don't know what the Purdue thing is. I mean, we don't know anything about it except so few of the breeders are on it. I'm assuming because of that, there's a higher standard with it, or everybody would be over there, right? So again, I'm just making some general assumptions that it's probably better, even though it was put in place by the industry itself. The industry itself asked Purdue to come up with this. I'm okay with that. That's not necessarily good or bad. It's just, how can we do better? Not many are taking advantage of it. I would suspect that I don't know what the number is, but the 300 that are not, I guess I can fill out an application and be one of the 300, but they're not even being audited yet.
Right, they're
Process,
strictly
so-
in the process.
Yeah, so it's obviously a standard that's a little more difficult that I think we should embrace. Again, encourage backfill, tell those breeders that's what we're going to start doing. We want that. And so I think that's a great move. And, the phase-in period, I'm a little open to. You said 12 months.
Yes.
I mean, I could go maybe a little bit longer, but I do think that's an admirable thing. So let me I'm looking at my notes. They're all over the place, and I want to make sure that I may come back as I forget some of the, talk a little bit about the vet, the string of vets that are involved. Number one, back at the original breeders, there's a vet that probably, I don't know what degree of inspection that they do on the animals, because they're probably huge rooms of cages that they walk by, and the dog's fine, so they give it a stamp. And they come here to this county to be sold by our pet stores. And sometimes because the pets move so quickly, they don't get vet inspected again. Is that?
That's correct. The health certificate is valid for 30 days. So they receive a OCVI, the official certification of veterinary inspection, occurs at the breeder's location from the breeder's veterinarian, and it has to be in place before the puppy is put on transport. It lists any vaccines, dewormers, any pre-existing conditions are listed on that veterinary health certificate. And then once they come into the county, if they're here for longer than 30 days in that pet store, it has to be recertified by a local veterinarian. And so another health certificate would be issued at that time.
Another veterinarian hired by the pet stores?
Affiliated with the pet store, yes.
Yeah, okay. And so they're taking a look at, they have somebody on call, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they, but if they sell before that happens, before the inspection happens, somebody walks out. I mean, I took mine as the example that I used to my own vet, and ran through a whole bunch of things, including finding out that the gums were a little swollen and I had to have gum surgery. So my free cat was now about $600 more expensive. But of course I did it, and all I can do is go back to my niece for the $600 versus going back to the store for the $600. So, no retail store did that. It was in-house, but I think that's, we need to be looking at that. The other thing I was going to ask you, do we have the pet stores and their internal pet replacement policy with the breeder that they have? Do we have those on record, like when they can get a replacement for let's say a dog comes down and it has certain problems? When do they get to have replacement for that animal? Do we know that? There's been some assertions on the animal that died, that it was again, assertions, delayed in getting to the vet, and then basically said, oh, it's okay, it's going to die. Just let it die. I can get replacement for that animal, and because of our policy of replacement. And I just want to make sure that we have an understanding if that's more fact than fiction, and because it encourages certain behavior again. again, if you're in an industry that it gets a little more scrutiny, I would say bring it on, because then my store would pass all of those standards and proudly tell people that I'm a more careful store, or I'm more more attentive to animals. But I would say from the consumer education standpoint, I like it. I think we're heading in the right direction. I understand why our county attorney said 14 days. I like the 30 days. I think I like it because it sends a message, but I think people, they fall in love with their dogs or their cats. And that's why this is such a tough industry that needs such scrutiny, because we do. We just fall in love with them. And then all of a sudden, well, they're my problem now. I'm going to take care of them regardless. I made an emotional investment, a financial investment, and that's why we need the extra standards. So I like the consumer protection, the education piece. The enforcement, I have no issues with the 14 days. I mean, up to 14 days, and the severity should come into play. I have no issue with any of that. I think is 500 as high as we can go?
Currently in our administrative order, 500 is the highest.
What's that?
Currently in our administrative order, $500
What does that
is
mean
the
in our
highest.
administrative order?
In the Pinellas County administrative order for citations, that is the highest that we can go.
Is that governed by state statute? Do we know?
That is in our, it's put out by the court, so it's a local Pinellas County administrative order.
Okay. By who?
Clerk of court.
Okay.
The clerk of court, yes.
All right, so that, I guess, is pretty much that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I mean, again, I don't think it can be enough, but we have what we have. I think overall, I just kind of like the direction that we're heading. And, again, I would just say, we're open to tweaking it again. When we're selling 2,400 pets. 2,400 pets to Pinellas County residents.
Yes.
Again, we are filling a vacuum, our pet stores are, for other counties that are not allowing it. If we had no pet stores here, we would do the same. We would have the hobby breeders, the backyard breeders, or call, I don't even know, Jacksonville, what their position is, but call them and see what they have, and you can buy, like people are buying from us now. Again, I'm not going down that path about shutting stores down. I think our folks do a decent job, but I think they should not ever push back against raising standards, because to me, we just have that obligation. And I may have a few more comments, but I yield the floor back to the chair.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Commissioner Peters, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I just, and I agree, David, there's nothing wrong with raising standards. I just don't want it to be too punitive, that it's inappropriate. And I think 14 days concerns me. And I think that rescue should have the same protocols and the same, if they have a sick dog, the same thing. But I don't want to see that 14-day thing if it's not a serious thing. If it's something else, like they're getting cut, the example you used, that would be totally inappropriate to do a 14-day. So I want to see that changed. I'm not happy with that. But just to say, those 22 out of the 4,800 dogs that are sold, 22 complaints. And so just 22 complaints out of 4,800 dogs is not very many complaints. That is a 0.0045%. So, it's not like our retailers are bad actors. So, and you only 8 citations out of 4,800 dogs, and most of them administrative. That does not scream to me we have a problem in our retail stores. That tells me we don't have a real problem in our retail stores. So, so that 14-day, I'm not very comfortable with. And again, I would like to see us bring back that old ordinance and maybe repeal it, because I don't think it's necessary to be so restrictive on a business that could thrive in this county. So just my opinion.
Just one question. Under the ordinance, is it all in one? Or is that the ban where we limited the number of pet stores? Is that all in one ordinance?
That's all in Chapter 14.
Okay,
yes.
so when we revise this to include the standards, that's part of that chapter. You can discuss it at that time.
On the manatee ordinance for the fine, is it just a $500 fine, again, per visit?
In Manatee County or here? I'm sorry.
Well, what Manatee County has, and per infraction, is $500 per infraction. Is that what we're recommending?
Yes, it would be, instead of being $148 for the first offense, and then either doubling the fine or up to reaching that maximum of $500, it would just be a $500 flat fee for every single animal welfare violation.
And if I could add, the $500, I understand the description of the clerk setting the fines. The statutory maximum for an animal control citation is $500. So we're limited
The
to
what?
that, is $500.
What, I didn't hear.
The statutory maximum.
Oh, that's what I was
So,
asking
yeah,
about
and I
statutory.
was trying to get that answer for you,
Okay.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah.
What gets referenced is the clerk does establish there's an administrative order that's actually established by the chief judge, and the clerk administers the ordinance violation program pursuant to the fine schedule, so it's a uniform fine schedule. For animals, it's always going to be the county since we regulate countywide, but the intent is that if you get a ticket for trash in St. Pete and a trash in unincorporated county, it's a uniform fine, so everybody has the same fine. That's what I think they were referring to, but the statutory maximum is $500. Now, that's per occurrence, so it could, stack up, but we are limited to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you, Director, for the presentation, and to my colleagues. There's been a lot of good information to digest that y'all been working on for years. So I just wanted to say, thank you to my colleagues and the Director for the thoughtful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I also wanted to point out a number of organizations, I'm not going to name them all, that are doing great work out there. I think of the Humane Society and the commitment that they've done to expanding their facilities and expanding their process and doing, really great work in our county. And there's many other groups that are doing really great work. There are some individuals that I could probably look at over in the crowd over there that are doing their part, small little part, about spaying and neutering animals so that we have population control. And I think that's what we need to spend more money on. I think we need to spend more money. There are people waiting in line to get it done. And these volunteer groups don't have the funds to get what needs to be done. So I'm wide open to looking at that as well. I mean, I'm not, so just take a look at that and see what we can do to up that. That'll be a huge improvement. I was talking to somebody that told me that, for instance, old cats, like my cat, 4 years old, is hard to adopt. 6-year-old cats, hard to adopt. 10-year-old cats, harder to adopt. There's some neat programs that are being started by these organizations that allow seniors to take on some of these older cats, and maybe the senior outlasts the cat, or the cat outlasts the senior, and they go back to the same place that they got it from. Great programs to encourage that, taking care of the animals that we have in many different ways. So I guess I'll just continue to ramble thoughts out as we're having these discussions, but the more we can do to protect, the better.
Thank you, Commissioner Eggers. We did have a adopting seniors program, and it was very successful.
Love it.
But I'm thankful to say that our cat adoption room has been relatively empty for months, and our partners have been assisting us with moving these cats into homes very quickly, and so things are going very well at the shelter.
Thank you.
Okay. I've got some questions and thoughts. Do we not have any problems with kittens? It's always a conversation around dogs, around puppies.
The retail pet puppy stores we've been discussing, only one of them has begun selling cats, but at a very low rate of sale. We're talking just a few here and there. The same pet store actually takes in our cats, our adoptable cats, and adopts them out. So that we do have one pet store in the county that has adopted a rescue retail model. And so they do also sell cats at this time, but again, it's at a very low level.
Well, now that you brought up the rescue model, is there anything in our ordinance right now that prevents retail stores from working with shelters?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So they could partner now if they wanted to. There's nothing that.
We currently have one already partnering with us, and we would be open to those discussions.
Okay, all right, great. So I, like Commissioner Peters, I've got some concerns with the 14-day. Is it delineated in the ordinance specifically what those? I mean, some of the examples that you outlined, I mean, I certainly would have a hard time disagreeing with. But you know, if it's a lower level thing, we want to make sure we remain a pro-business county, and I don't want to do anything here that's going to set anybody on a course for not being in business. So is that, you know, if you could just talk about that a little bit more, because I am a little concerned with that. And then also the Purdue certification, I love the idea of it, but there's only 25% of the breeders that are certified, and there's a lot more that are going through the process. But how stable is that program? And if, I don't know how that program works, if it's fee-based, but let's say Purdue University decides to quadruple their fees next year, and you know, the pet store say, you know, it's unaffordable, I can't do that anymore. You know, are we now putting them in a situation where they're set up for failure?
Starting with the 14-day suspension program, we can certainly clarify in the ordinance what would constitute up to 14 days. And so we'll look at like a scale, like a severity type scale, looking at contagious and infectious diseases being the most restrictive at the 14-day mark because of quarantine practices. Other than that, we can put in, obviously, the language up to 14 days, or we can also require a corrective action plan is in place. They're collaborating with our enforcement officers. If it's something like housing that needs to be corrected, that could be a corrective action plan. If they don't do it within a certain amount of days, then we can look at suspending the permit. So that is language that we've already started that we can certainly clarify and make sure that is very defined in the ordinance. And as far as the Canine Care Certification Program, the numbers I'm seeing, the program's been in place since 2013. We're at 226 breeders that are currently certified, and with 369 in the process. In March of 2022, the program hit the 100 breeder mark. And so it was fairly slow going up until 2022, and now we see that that number has almost tripled. So it's starting with the education that's out there and the corporate pet stores as well as the puppy brokers. They're actually advertising this on their websites. They're promoting it. They're incentivizing their breeders to do this. And so also legislation like Indiana requiring that the retail pet stores purchase from Canine Care certified breeders. It's getting the word out that this is something that is very important to consumers, to the breeding industry in general, to our retail pet stores as well. And so we're seeing those numbers now near tripling in 3 years. And honestly, as long as it continues on that projection, we should see within a 12-month period the ability of our retail pet stores to have more of a selection, to have more breeders on board, and to develop those relationships with their breeders to potentially incentivize them to join the program. But it does have rigorous standards in place, and all of it is 100% voluntary at this time.
Right. I like the phased-in approach. I think that's important. And as long as the pet store owners feel that that's sustainable, I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure that we're not setting, that we're just not setting people up for failure here. That's my biggest concern with that. Correct. Correct. Yeah. Do we have any idea how many breeders we have in Pinellas County?
In Pinellas County, hobby breeders, we were at approximately 200 hobby breeders. Or am I way off the mark? The hobby breeders, yes. 50 to 80, okay, I apologize. 50 to 80 hobby breeders. I was including all of our boarding kennels as well, but 50 to 80 hobby breeders.
Do we have any idea how many dogs per year they sell?
Dogs per year. We do accept their point of sales. So hobby breeders are restricted. They can only have 2 litters per year, up to 20 puppies. And so it's a relatively low number, and if they're exceeding that, then they're going to fall into another program, which would be the pet dealer.
Okay. But, so what standards apply to them as far as, is anything that we're talking about doing here, does that roll into, I mean, obviously, the produce certification would not, because they're their own breeder, but would those standards, would they be required to live up to those same standards?
They can be translated over to the hobby breeders as well. They are inspected annually. They do have housing requirements where the housing has to be up to the best practices standards. We do inspect them. There is an application process. That's all in place. And then the standards that we're recommending here could be translated over to the hobby breeders as well. We can take out language that this is only for commercial establishments, and it can hold the hobby breeders accountable to the same standards. But generally, with our hobby breeders, just to let you know too, we don't have complaints, we don't have violations. These are breeders that have the dogs in their homes that have very few puppies per year. This is on a very limited basis.
Okay, so we don't get complaints on them?
We do not.
All right, Commissioner Scher?
Sure, thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Director, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your passion for this. And I want to congratulate you, you got 6 stores in Pinellas County, 25 total complaints. That's amazing. Those are good numbers. If I was running a 6-restaurant business in Pinellas County, I only had 25 complaints, I'd be handing out bonuses probably. So, but because you're doing, because I don't see the big problem that we're trying to solve, I really can't get behind any of these punitive measures that you have. And I understand what you're trying to do, but wow, shutting down a person's business for 14 days, a half a month's rent, for real estate taxes, it's a lot. So I couldn't get behind that. I don't understand the need to send a dog that's died to Gainesville to have an autopsy. I don't understand that. But one thing I would say is that, I'm surprised that you only have 1 inspection a year. You got 16 agents working for your department. I would think, again, I know a little bit about restaurant businesses. Inspectors can walk in anytime they want and inspect. If you want to up your inspections, go right ahead. You got the personnel to do it. I would think that you'd have access anytime, but that's just me. We have a lot of inspectors, so I don't have a problem with inspections. So I don't know what that problem would be. And then I appreciate Commissioner Peters' ideas on working with these stores to actually have strays as part. Maybe, I don't know what it costs us to keep strays overnight at our animal control facilities, but maybe we could do it and work with them. Maybe we could actually help them have the strays in there for adoption. I think that would be a great idea. And then it's also my understanding that SPCA has their own veterinarians that come to these stores, and so I think that's good, and maybe they could do more of that. And so anyway, I think you're doing a great job, and but I just can't get behind any of the enforcement measures. I just wanted you to know.
Are you done, Chris?
Oh, one other thing, I had no idea you weren't allowed to take pictures inside of inside. I didn't know if that was an enforcement thing that we talked and I missed it or what, but I don't see why.
I think it's, I'm not going to speak, like for all stores. I don't think they generally like it.
Oh,
Again,
I didn't know.
If they're okay with it, I'm sure they could have a little sign that says, take all the pictures you want.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because again, if you're doing the right thing, and they are doing the right thing most of the time, I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts to have the additional inspections. Come, bring it on, For folks that are doing it right, and most of our stores are doing it right most of the time, and that's great. So I just think it's a little different industry that we have to be very careful of, and that's why some of these things we're talking about. The 14-day thing is for two reasons. It's almost, I mean, I say this tongue-in-cheek, the time fits the crime. If it's a very serious crime and/or there's the item that we're inspecting is very contagious, and again, I'm not the expert here, but once they're in the store, behind a door or not, it has nothing to do with that. You're not in a pressurized place, so that store is gonna be at risk. That doesn't mean that everybody's gonna get whatever that issue was. So it just says up to. It's not like this is what we wanna do. Most of the things are not, most of the issues aren't that serious. Every once in a while, we get one, but not often. So it's not like we're trying to do it. It's not like we're trying to say 14 days. We're just saying if there's a contagious thing going on, what do we want to do? Get everybody else, the other animals contagious too and have their problems and then we sell them to, we don't want to do that. The store owners don't want to do that. So I think it protects the consumer and it protects the store owner to make sure that we have that under control. That's all. I mean, I think up to 14 days it's really important, up to. It's not our preference, it's not our, again. So I just think from perspective, to say we don't have a big problem and the numbers reflect that, we should be proud of that. That's great. But again, it's an industry that we're in, that these folks are in, that has a higher standard. That's all. It's not like, again, like PetSmart that sells a lot of retail products. They have adoption possibilities as well, right?
Correct, yeah. PetSmart, I'm sorry. Yes, Commissioner. PetSmart also has adoption animals available through various rescues, private rescues, and Petco as well.
They don't sell retail.
They don't sell retail puppies or cats or kittens, correct?
Again, they have a ton of retail stuff that they sell. So.
That is correct.
Anyway, I really like the direction you're going. I don't think anything here is over the top. The 14 days is not over the top because we're not saying it is 14 days. We're waiting to see what the problem was and what the infection exposure is. And if it's 5 days, then we get them, get going right away. And anyway, I think great work. Appreciate the work you and your team are doing, and I look forward to taking a look at that ordinance and the changes that we're recommending. I do want to look carefully at that Purdue certification, which I think, again, not knowing all the details behind it, because whatever, we know it's more stringent than the other one. So I'll go with more stringent versus less stringent. But I just want to make sure that there's time to get more of those on board so that we can get the pets that we need. So I think that's something we just have to be a little bit careful on. And that phase-in period, I think, is going to be important.
I agree, Commissioner. That phased-in time period would definitely be open for discussion based on your recommendations.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all the hard work behind this, and good discussion, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Commissioners, based upon the discussion today, if she can look at a tiered way of looking at the enforcement piece that you kind of discussed and send that out to you, just some thoughts. Are you prepared for us to put it on the agenda? And we may need to go through each item, and then you decide on each item what you want to do or not do. Right. I thought it was important to have this discussion here today, kind of an open dialogue. But if you're okay with that, then we'll schedule that and get that, because we have to advertise it and everything. If you're ready to go, then we'll schedule that. And in the meantime, I will give you more detail regarding a tiered structure and also some of the stuff that you talked about regarding the stuff that wasn't articulated that they'd be working with the pet store owners on. Okay?
Good.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
That's what we'll do. Good job, Jennifer.
All right, now we're moving on to, I think, agenda review?
Yeah, I got one additional item, Commissioners. Commissioner Scheer brought up the issue regarding the floodplain ordinance a while back, and he did meet with staff, and we I sent you, we went through a review of all the different items, and I sent you kind of an update based upon our review of that. Any further action necessary on that? You did delegate, to Commissioner Scheer to meet on that. We've got teed up to review the ordinance in 6 months, which is the minimum standards of when you can open your ordinance. And we readdressed the issue of the 50% or 49%. And then there was one other issue. But the other issues are really driven. We really can't, change from that. And I articulated that in the memo to you. So I just wanted to close that issue however you want to move forward. Are we okay with that?
Commissioner Scheer, what were your thoughts on the memo?
Well, I was unable to find any way to circumvent the draconian FEMA rules that are in place. Unfortunately, we agreed to those rules. And I personally would like to try to work harder to do it, but I have been unable to find anything that we can change that won't jeopardize our flood insurance premiums, that won't jeopardize FEMA from providing assistance to us. So it's very disappointing.
Good? Okay.
Understood. Okay.
I just wanted to close the loop on that particular item.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the agenda review. We will have a, by the way, so well, here, I'll get to it when we get to that item. You got a plat for Seaside Park Townhomes, 9-lot subdivision, declaring surplus equipment. You can see the items listed.
Hey, Barry, I got a quick question. How does a not-for-profit get on that surplus equipment list?
Where's Joe Laurel?
Is that invitation only, or can they apply, or?
Yep, I'm looking for somebody to answer your question, Commissioner.
They can apply.
They can apply? Is that it? So
Okay.
why don't I ask Joe to submit to you a memo outlining the program and how people would do that and get that to you before Tuesday?
Okay, cool. Thank
Okay,
you.
and Dell will follow up on that. Okay. Item number 9 is ranking of firms with exhibit concepts. This is for the Wheaton Island Booker Creek Education Refurbishment Project. This is a budgeted item for those two displays.
I didn't get a chance to get through all the details on this. Could you just kind of roughly tell us what this is? I mean, it's a lot of money, so I just
Yep.
want to make sure I understand. Is there somebody here who can?
Yeah, Joe can come up and
Okay.
speak to it.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jill Silverboard, County Admin. So at both of these educational centers, this project would provide for a refresh as well as a cleaning, preservation of the existing artifacts. They sometimes rotate the exhibits. I mean, obviously, we don't move the canoe that's at Wheaton. It stays as part of it, but everything from the display bottoms, walls, all those things get improved and refreshed. We also use it as an opportunity to improve our interactive. So we go back and we make sure, for example, all the display media that you read, we have to make that ADA accessible. So there's just a lot going on here with these projects that are, we're just kind of cleaning up what we already have. This was a penny for project that the board, knew would be coming. We just struggled to find a company that will be able to do that. So pretty low tech, but important as we continue to preserve them.
Yeah, low tech, high cost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it's manual.
Yeah, very tedious, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So the project, the budget will increase to 3.2 million, award the contract in the amount of 2.7 million as the sole provider.
Yeah, so the additional 500,000 may or may not be used, but it's in the project budget. The contract is 2.7.
Contract's 2.7. Oh, it could go up to 3.2?
The budget amount is, the budget for the project is 3.2 with this addition.
So What are we approving?
You're awarding a contract for 2.7
That's
to Exhibit Concepts, Inc.
And if they need more, you'll come back for that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, unless it was in Barry's approval authority,
Oh,
but we don't expect that.
Yeah, no, let's get clear on this, because if it's a cost overrun, I have the authority to award that up to a certain percentage. That's what,
That 10, I think, what is it?
10%?
10%.
Yeah, so it's
10%.
10%. So there could be up to 10%, it wouldn't have to come back to you. Over that, it would have to come back to you.
So 270,000
Yeah,
of the 500.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, item 10 is award a bid to American Lighting. This is for existing signalization and mast arms at 5 intersections.
Hey, Barry, is this a component of our ATMS improvements?
No.
It's not?
This is not. What's that, Jill?
This work is related to our hazard mitigation grants and our hardening and resiliency for storms. That's what this project originates from.
Is this grant funds?
Yes. Yeah.
All
Oh,
right,
it
thank you.
doesn't say, yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it does say that.
Yeah, it does.
Hazard mitigation program funds.
Through FEMA.
Okay, thanks.
Item 11 is mosquito abatement products through the various contractors. You can see them listed within your packet. Item 12 is ranking of firms for advanced environmental. This is for various laboratory testing services for utilities. Under the regular agenda, item 14 is a resolution related to local amendments for the building code. I'm going to ask Tom to come up and talk specifically about these so we know exactly what they're changing here.
Tom Almonte, Assistant County Administrator. Commissioner, you approved this back in December. And these were the flexibility that we added to the definition of substantial improvement to allow for repair prior to the storm to not count towards. The typical process, once you approve it, has to go through a local technical amendment. This is just coming back to you after the state reviewed that and approved it. So that's what you're approving now, the final. The definition is the
So for
same
the
as the
substantial
original.
improvement, if storm damage doesn't count towards meeting that threshold. Got it. Okay.
Correct.
And this has been approved by the?
By the state.
It has been approved at the state. Now it's coming back to you for final approval.
Okay, good.
Okay. Item 15 is a resolution to waive the building permits fees for storm construction and repair. I did that under my authority early on. I discussed it with you all. By you enacting this allows us to get rid of the local state of emergency because the local state of emergency was tied back to that authority. By you kind of codifying what we've been doing on this, then we can remove the local state of emergency. That's what we needed in order to continue to waive the fees. And so by you enacting this, we don't have any other need to continue the local state of emergency.
One question. Yeah. So folks from the beginning have not paid fees?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so it's not like we have to pay people back?
No.
We
This
never-
is just kind of codifying what I
Okay,
did
yeah.
under my authority, and not, kicking people when they're down and charging them a permit fee to come back. We're going to go after recovery of those funds when the state talks about lost revenue.
That was going to be my question.
Oh, yeah.
Can we recover this?
Well, FEMA can't cover this,
Okay.
but lost revenue under some of the programs that the state's talking about, if those come through, we will absolutely put that on the list of things to try to recover.
Yeah, okay.
And, and I do want to say this because, our building permit fees, it's kind of a self-supporting entity there.
Right.
So, the general fund should cover this. If we can't get reimbursed by the state, we need to cover that cost because we don't want to raise permit fees because we drain the reserves because we were waiving building permit fees. It's really our decision, and so I don't want to penalize our builders associated with that. So just so when we come back and we have a different conversation, we kind of remember that. I think that's the fairest thing to do.
You want us to remember?
you know? I'm hoping I remember, but, you know. But no, I just think it's the right thing to do, since that's a self-recovery fund. We want to keep those fees associated with the cost. Well, this really isn't cost. This is something we chose to waive. Okay, item 16, and I see Brian is here. This is an application for the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum for consideration in accordance with the project funding capital program guidelines. Under the guidelines currently, if it doesn't fall within certain thresholds, it comes to you to approve us to be able to review the project. Based upon that review, then it would go back to the TDC and come back to you. I'd like to change that. We've talked about changing that, but we don't have that change right now. And so this comes to you. If you authorize it, then it would go to Brian and his team to review, apply their criteria, and then it would be up for further consideration at a later date.
Mr. Chairman, I have some comments about this one, as well as a question. And I normally would not use a county meeting to respond to comments made on a radio station. But since those comments were directed at county staff, I would like to. Last week, one of the Rays presidents in a team-sponsored radio program on a local station decided to blame county staff for the delay that occurred in October. And I'm not going to talk about that delay that much, except because we were all here, or at least 4 of us were here, since Commissioner Flowers just left. But I will remind folks that county staff, including our administrator, were literally living at the Emergency Operations Center in the month of October. Several of them were there for weeks. I asked Barry this morning, because I thought he was there for weeks. He corrected me and said he was there for a month. So the meeting that we delayed this vote in October, Barry was living at the EOC. And so Matt Silverman chose to blame Barry for not telling him that we were going to delay a meeting. Barry was more worried about our homeless residents that had lost their homes during the hurricanes, people that had lost businesses. And had that October meeting been so important to the Rays, I would imagine they would have been here. They were not here. Had that meeting had been so important to the Rays, I imagine it would have made it into the contract as a deadline. That was not in the contract. Our deadline was in March, as has been stated numerous times. So Matt, Stu, and Brian are making things up. And I'm going to use their first names because they don't deserve anything more. You know, I've cried 2 times in my public career. I'm not going to mention the first time because that was something that happened in February of 2018 when I served in the legislature, and it was a tragedy that happened in South Florida. The second time was during these 2 hurricanes. 15 of our residents died, and it is a miracle that not more of them did not lose their lives. And it's because of the heroic actions of our sheriff, of our first responders, of our county administrator, and our county staff. I know that several of us I know Kathleen Peters got calls the night of Hurricane Milton from people at the beach that needed to be rescued. I got 2 of those calls. And, you know, Brian, Matt, and Stu need to be reminded that the hurricane did not just hit the Trop. It hit a bunch of other folks, and folks that are not millionaires and billionaires. So they need to frankly get over themselves. And they keep talking about $100 million shortfall that they now have because of a 21-day delay. Well, they need to show that. If a 21-day delay caused a $150 million overrun that our stadium expert had said he's never seen before. They need to show that. They need to show that to the media in Tampa Bay. I'm sure the media will be more than happy to see that. They need to show that on paper. The only time that we've asked them to show something on paper was when they said that they spent $50 million, and what they showed us was that they spent $11 million. They are literally lying to our residents. And I welcome them to come to a meeting and show us that they have a $150 million shortfall that was the cause of a 21-day delay. I doubt they will do that because they don't do anything that does not involve a lawyer. And I'm sorry that I'm passionate about this because I don't care what they say about me. You know, they said I threw my weight around. I actually thought that was funny. You know, I kind of like the fat jokes. But don't attack our county staff and try to blame them because you weren't doing your job and you didn't bother showing up to a meeting and that you didn't bother to call us or anything like that. And don't act like you're the only people to be affected by a hurricane. There are 30 owners in Major League Baseball, and I'm sure that there are other fan bases that are complaining about their owners and wish they had different owners, but we literally are the only fan base that is stuck with the guy who uses 2 hurricanes to try to figure out a way to make money off of it, which is atrocious. And they should be ashamed of themselves. Anyways, back to the gas plant district. I do have a question about this. And that is, if the gas plant is never developed, which who knows if it is or not, Stu may have the money, he may not, what happens to this money?
Okay. So I'm going to let Brian come up. I did ask him to kind of outline that this proposal is specific to the gas plant district. So it's based upon that. The numbers and the tourism generated from it would be specific to the gas plant site. Now, could it be moved, and whether the board has to authorize any changes to that? That's where I'm going to defer to Brian and let him kind of walk through how that would work. Okay.
Yeah, similar to what Barry said, every one of this application, including all the others, were required to hire a third party to do an economic impact analysis of the projections that they would see with this new project. Theirs is very specific to, those numbers contained in there are very specific to it being part of the historic gas plant district. So if it were to leave the gas plant district, that would definitely change numbers. What I will say is that between actual construction, we would know prior to the construction of this where it's actually going to be, obviously, and we would, between now and then, we would need to approve funding and then bring back a contract to you all at a later date and time that would put that in stone, and at that time, we would certainly have that in the agreement.
So we approved money for the stadium in July. We approved the bonds in December. And part of that whole redevelopment was this museum and other things that were tied to it. How much are the Rays paying for this museum, or does it all come from us and the museum?
It's actually in the Hines redevelopment project, and that's part of the community benefit.
Right.
So it's separate from the stadium piece and what we would be contributing to. It's part of the Hines redevelopment of the gas plant district. And so that funding is part of the community benefit that would go to the Woodson. I think that was $10 million, if I'm correct.
Correct.
So they're donating 10 million, and then we would be donating 10 million?
As part of this, but this has to go through our evaluation, and so it would be whatever Brian recommends based upon the criteria that we use to apply to projects.
Commissioner Latvala, can I follow up with a quick
yeah,
question on that?
absolutely.
But Barry, didn't the cost of the land on the deal also have a credit to the amount of money that they're providing for that development?
And I would defer to the city because that's outside of our wheelhouse. Okay. Yes, I mean, so, as part of the redevelopment of the gas plant district, there are community benefits, okay? Those costs. That's the reason it's not market rate. It is, you're buying down affordable housing, you're paying for contributions to the Woodson, you're putting in infrastructure, you're doing certain things. And so that was part of their portion of it. And so that's how they got to whatever deal that they had.
Those items were pulled out of a value, then they cut down, and this is what they offered on the land.
Well, right, and
So I just
the
wanted to make
reality is, it was a bid, so I mean, that was the highest bid of the land, but I'm not gonna get into that, and I'm not gonna defend it, because that's the city's project, but yes. And as part of that community give back, the Woodson was part of that.
And I don't want to pick on the museum, because I talked to Ms. Scott about different ideas that I had to tie in, for instance, like the Negro Baseball League. Tampa Bay has a rich history of Negro Baseball Hall of Famers that are from here, and doing things like that to tie in baseball. But if we're not going to have a stadium and we're not going to have a gas plant district, I'm not sure why we're taking this up now.
Well, you have an application, so we have to do something with it. And so I guess the point is, it may be for naught. If you authorize it, he'll go back and evaluate it. How long would that take for it to go through that process and come back to them?
We're gonna turn that around quickly. It would, if you guys authorize us to score it, review it, and put forth a recommendation, we'd take it to TDC next month, and it'd come back to BCC at March 25th. However, between then, that's just simply recommending an up to funding amount. Between then, we would then go back to them and we would create an agreement, which don't know how long that would take to get back to you. On the last capital project we did, it was almost a year. So that won't happen overnight. And certainly you could make any of these votes contingent upon it being in a certain location.
Again, I think we're fast tracking this thing, and from what I understand, at least preliminarily, March 31st is a kind of an important date for the raise. Yes? No?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So why can't we just push this back? We can send it back to the TDC to discuss and everything, but bring it back here for us after at least that date, even though that's not in stone.
The reason it's here is because under our current guidelines, you have to authorize them to even score it because it doesn't meet the criteria.
And that's what I'm saying. We can send it back to do the scoring, but just don't bring it back here until after to your point, it's just like, why are we even getting into the discussion if we don't have a deal? I don't know. I'm
Be delayed.
We can certainly delay it. We just have as well, I'm talking to Commissioner Eggers, he's on the TDC, so he's aware, not others are, but we have a package of projects that we scored. They applied, we scored them, and we put forward recommendations. So we would just have one. There's nothing to say we can't hold off. It's just we're bringing them all together as one. Trying to keep them at the same pace.
Thank you.
Oh.
So,
Commissioner Eggers is in charge.
Yes, Commissioner Peters, go ahead, please.
thank you. So I have a problem with it's not meeting the standard, and we keep putting these standards in, and then we go ahead and let it go through anyways, and we're trying to create a set of standards that's going to maximize any investment that we make. And we keep kind of overriding that. We do it with events, and and with, now with capital. And so my concern is, and I have a question for you, Brian, for the economic impact that they're projecting, did that come from agency that we knew, or did the museum hire somebody to do that, or are they guessing that? Where are those numbers coming from?
They hired a consultant to do that, and I believe they used RDS. If anyone remembers, Walter Clagis used to use that company for the TDC. his wife runs that company now. So there were a handful, every applicant. Some of them use the same, but I think altogether there are 3 different consultants that were used.
Okay. So, I mean, since there's some question about that development, when is the next round for capital projects?
The guidelines would allow it to be open in 2026.
So, you know, it's going to take a while for them to build that museum. They're saying the project's delayed already. Would putting this off and having them apply in 2026 be a huge problem? You know, in 2026, we'll know. And they have other fundraising they have to do, so in the meantime, it's got them doing the fundraising they need to do, and a little more certainty on what's going to happen. So I don't know if you guys have an issue with that, but, you know, my thought is, I think there's time. I don't know if there's not. I haven't heard from the museum, but if there's time, why not put it to the 2026 cycle? And, because we're already in 2025, you're talking about a year for that cycle, and then there's going to be more certainty, and they can start raising more money. And quite frankly, since it's in the city of St. Petersburg, I think the city needs to be invested in it. And if the city's not invested in it, then I've got reservations. I think it should be a true partnership. I feel like we've invested a lot already in the Gaslight District, and I would like to see them raise money other ways, and I would like to see the city to be a partner in it. And I don't think the city is a partner on funding, right?
They identify the $10 million contribution through the Heinz Raise Partnership, and then the other 18 million would be through other grants and other government grants and other fundraising.
Okay, so my thought, that's my recommendation, is that we have them reapply in 2026, see if they've done some fundraising, see if they've gotten some grants, and if the city's contribution is through the Heinz development, I don't really know how much of that is a city contribution, and I think they should be a partner. So, and because they aren't meeting the threshold, and they're not, you know, by then maybe they'll have a better idea on meeting the thresholds, but you know, we keep setting these standards, and then we vote to do projects that don't meet the standard. And so if we're going to be serious about having real quality projects and adhere to a standard, I think we need to adhere to a standard, and I think giving them another year is, I think, a good way to go. Just my thought.
I agree a lot with has just been said, and yesterday we had a TDC meeting, and we had actual scoring criteria, which was great for the capital projects. So, hats off to Bryden and his team for that, because it even though that there was some, you know, last minute lobbying at the TDC for more money, we actually had a standard this time, and that was the recommendation that the board followed. So I thought that was really encouraging to see that. I don't really think there would be a big harm. I mean, in holding off for another year as well. And I really question the $10 million, because if from Ray's Heinz, because I don't know, to me that isn't really private money. They should have a private match above and beyond that, in my opinion. And if this deal doesn't go through, that money's disappeared. So so did you say we would? So if we scored it and then you came back and there was a recommendation to fund it, would there be another opportunity if everything went south with Ray's Heinz to pull it back? Or?
Well, yeah, if that deal doesn't go forward, well, then it would have, because it's based upon that specific site. So if the Ray's deal doesn't go, then it wouldn't go. So you really have a couple options. You can choose not to deny this, which means staff can't score it, and it stops there. You can delay it till past March 31st if you want.
Yeah, true.
Or you can have staff go back and score it and then decide when they bring it back to you. So, or you can have them, well, that's the first one. If you deny this, if you vote no on this motion, then it stops right there.
Yeah. Then they could reapply the next
They
year.
can reapply the next year.
Right, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
We're not taking action.
You're not taking action here today. This is a discussion,
Right,
so.
yeah. So, okay.
Okay.
So we got options for Tuesday. All right, thanks, Brian.
All right, great. On to item 17, this is revisions to the Elite Event Destination Enhanced Funding Program Guidelines. So you can see those in your packet.
Brian, right?
That's Brian.
And I didn't, I'm
Come on
sorry,
back
Brian.
up.
I didn't review them all, but I'm going to ask you, on these events, did we put any in there that don't adhere to the protocols?
So what we're bringing forward are not specific awards to events. We're changing the guidelines, and that's what we're asking for approval on.
That's right, okay. And so those are the protocols that we're going to be expecting in the guidelines. And hopefully, we won't be compromising those, right? Thanks.
No, ma'am.
Barry, real quick, I'm sorry, I have to go back to the previous item and just.
Which one?
No, it's not question for you.
Oh.
It's really about the comments that Commissioner Latvala made, which I would totally support. We tried during those difficult times to say these very things over and over again. And even to call it a delay, it's really small d delay because the agreement didn't call it a delay. It was really all the way to March 31st.
Yeah.
But I think that they keep wanting to say the same thing over and over and thinking the story will change. And I think it's hard for us to let these comments that they make out there, just leaving it out there. So I just wanted to commend Commissioner Latvala and Commissioner Scott. I think you made some comments yesterday online for at least letting our residents understand. I call it fact from fiction. So I appreciate those comments. And we can go back to where you were.
Well, I mean, I'll just add, you've noticed for years, I haven't said a word about this entire deal, right? And I appreciate the commissioners, supporting staff and correcting the record. I really do. Because sometimes you read, comments and you go, do I really want to get in the mud? The reality is, I mean, the reality is that I think in the court of public opinion, people have saw through that, right? And so I think I've let it just speak for itself. The decision really got delayed when they put doubt about the project in conversations with Commissioner Scott right before the vote. I knew what the vote was. I couldn't share with you, but I talked to each of you. And so they put doubt about the project before we were even talking about a hurricane, okay? And so then the hurricane hits and then they try to turn it. Remember, they were investing in this project for a couple of years. They were spending money on consultants, on design, on everything for a couple of years. So for then a vote to be delayed and to say that they pulled all the resources off and now the cost is to re-engage and bring people back, well, that was a choice they made. I would have kept them there, kept working with the commission to see if that could secure the vote, and then I wouldn't have lost those costs. The reality is it's an excuse and it's a shame, And so
and I would just add one thing. Our residents who come to us for variances from time to time on issues that staff has told them it's going to pass, more than likely. But we tell you to come anyway, to be there for any questions. So I'm just saying.
You're exactly right.
So this was kind of a big deal, and for them to be there, it's a big deal. I would be there to answer any questions that might be there. So again,
they've kind of they have split hairs. Again, it was they could have come. They had a different thing. We didn't think there was an issue. It was really based upon that conversation that created the doubt. And again, it was just a 1 month delay. Okay, and then the election, et cetera. So I get that.
It doesn't matter whether there was an issue.
But again, they didn't have to pull resources off of the project. There was no reason to do that until you couldn't get a vote out of the commission. And the same thing has happened over at the city, where they burned bridges with the city, and there's no reason to do that. We've all been good partners. I still think they could re-engage, but that's up to them. And we're going to find out real soon. There, my comments. I've held it in for a long time. All right.
Well, as long as we're making a few comments. I'd just like to let you know, I see this thing going is, and since this is a workshop, time. They're going to want more time to put their deal together because they're not going to make their March 31st. And standard is in commercial real estate, if you want more time, you pay for it. So they're going to want more time. You all should be thinking about what we're going to charge them every month to keep their contract active.
Probably the $1.5 million that
That's
they're,
what I'm
agree.
thinking,
probably the
too.
$1.5 million that we're on,
Thanks, that'll help me at the negotiating table. Anyway.
You should, when it comes time for your evaluation this summer, you should put in a stew clause for all the times that you had to meet with him.
It has been an extra duty as assigned. All right. On to item 18, supportable housing development for Habitat for Humanity on 5.94 acres in Lellman through the Housing Finance Authority. And they recommended county funding assistance for $2.2 million.
Chair. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I just, just to reiterate to my colleagues, I mean, I just really take, an issue that it's a 99-year ground lease, and that, these penny dollars, the people are never going to really own the land. So when we talk about creating wealth, providing home ownership opportunities to break these cyclical, systemic issues, not owning the land is a real handicap in generating wealth. And then in the ground lease that I was reading, it talks about the improvements would transfer back to the government agency at the end of the lease. So, I mean, people are paying this mortgage on a property for 30 years, and then, I mean, at the end of the lease, I mean, it would, in theory, revert back to, the government agency. So, I know that a lot of work has, been put on this, but, really, I think we got a workshop on housing and stuff going forward. So it's just, disheartening to see that, we have an opportunity, this isn't going to be tax revenue, and it's not really a true home ownership. It's just a long-term lease that somebody's really in. It's not, and then depreciating costs. After, 30 years, 40 years in the house, it's not really worth as much. And then what about 60 or year 70 if a roof goes up? I mean, well, we only got 20 years left on my lease. Why would I spend 15 grand for a new roof, for a new water line I have to do? I just really question these 99-year ground leases going forward, and, appreciate y'all hearing me out on that. And the developer fees too, it doesn't really take into account the percentage after the subsidy. So like the developer fee, it says, 9.15%, but if you took away the subsidy of it, it's almost a 12% developer fee. So, I mean, I think those are things that, we could look at as a board of really controlling to help bring down the cost for us to be able to deploy more money in the future. So, just general thoughts.
How did we get to the ground lease versus, it does seem, I don't.
For Habitat.
This is for Habitat for Humanity. So Commissioner Nowicki raised this issue yesterday with me. I frankly don't know how that model works with Habitat for Humanity. I'm sure Bruce does, and and they work on those. I will tell you that anything under about a 15% developer fees, pretty standard in what we're seeing in these affordable housing projects. The amount of money of equity or wealth generated in that, I don't know. It's the first time I've really kind of heard that. So we can certainly put in that discussion when we discuss about housing. We've generally supported Habitat for Humanity. Right. We've seen what it does to neighborhoods around Ridgecrest and stuff. Right. But in terms of the wealth creation stuff, I really don't know. And so I'm put that back on to Bruce, because we're going to bring back to you here. We're trying to get this and housing overview program scheduled for probably April 3rd, right around that time period, and have that kind of bigger housing discussion.
Kathleen?
So I like the looking into it. I think that's great. The 99-year lease, so that's, I mean, there's a whole neighborhood on St. Pete Beach that's on a 99-year lease, and people buy those homes and live in them and then sell those homes. So the 99-year lease, I don't think is that, when it gets down to 10 or 20 years, I could see that. But 99 years is a long time for the families that will have it for the first 70 years, and it'll be multiple families. And it is a model that's been done, not necessarily with Habitat. I mean, Habitat does it this way. But like I said, there is the Palm Point neighborhood on St. Pete Beach. half of that neighborhood are all on 99-year leases. And because when I was first moved here, I thought, well, why would somebody do that? But yet people buy it and they sell it, and so that, isn't, right now, well, God knows what they are now, but, so they sell for less, so you can get a waterfront home for less money, since it's a land lease. But yeah, it's not, I thought it was unusual, but evidently it's not that unusual. So I don't think it's problematic until you get to year 80. And that's a long way away, so.
And then there'll probably be a renegotiation of it at that point anyway, so.
Yeah.
Typically, when they rehab, then it's kind of renegotiated at that time.
Chair,
Yeah.
thank you for that insight. I mean, I guess my only different, perspective than on St. Pete Beach is that the people that move into these homes, is my understanding is that they're required, that Habitat has the first right of refusal. So in your explanation on St. Pete Beach, someone can sell it on the free market and get, real market equity increases of 10%, 12%, but Habitat would have a first right of refusal, is my understanding, to purchase it back at a pre-negotiated price. So again, you're not getting that
Yeah,
same wealth.
I don't know their model that well.
Right, so it's just, it's just something that, I'm looking into, and I'm like, well, for my generation, and then people that are, the more susceptible and unhoused, can they, most people may get a line of equity for a new roof in 20 years when they need one. How restrictive is it to get a line of equity when you don't own the land for the roof? So then what, what do they do if they're already, income challenged or in that lower AMI? So it's just things, I consider and look at from a different perspective is all.
Yeah.
Well, maybe at some point we can have Habitat come and explain their model a little bit, but, we're also trying to solve for, today's problems. And that's definitely a tomorrow.
Well, and I'll have, Bruce kind of add that
understanding
to our
how they
housing
get it.
discussion, because it's something that's been brought up and that I really couldn't answer. Okay. Item number 19 is a affordable housing project. This is for Lake Bellevue Townhomes, and this has a funding recommendation of just over $1 million. You can see the breakdown within your cost.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for the board to indulge me for another few more minutes on this. I guess, I had a conversation with Bruce and Tom. I don't know if Bruce can come up and answer a few.
Bruce is here. We had a good discussion about this last night, so.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Bruce, is it afternoon yet? Oh, yeah, afternoon. So, looking at the, the pro forma and the application that you sent me, there's a lot of discrepancies in the pro forma and the application. Were they submitted at the same time?
No, the pro forma that I shared with you yesterday was an updated pro forma. Part of our conversation was the timing of the project. This project, we started talking to Habitat about it, I think early 2023. They were putting in a proposal to the city of Clearwater in response to an RFP for a property to build this project on. And so they reached out to us at that time. We kind of had some general conversations. They put in an application mid-2023 with some ballpark numbers. And so since that time, really it was about a year they were working with the city through site planning, those kind of things. And so we've asked them to update their information, including an updated pro forma. So that pro forma is sort of the best estimate of where they are now after they'd done some site planning, basic cost estimates from architects, engineers, taking some cost estimates from their current projects. They're building a townhome project in the Largo community now, and so they're using some of the numbers on construction costs there to update that pro forma. So it's sort of our best estimates at this point in time when we bring it to the board where we think it's pretty solid. Now, should the board approve it, there's still quite a bit of due diligence to continue. We'll have additional appraisals, cost estimates, and things like that. So it's kind of fluid, and when we bring a proposal forward, it's to sort of set a ceiling of the maximum amount that the board would be supportive of.
Yeah, because in the, application, there's $400,000 in financing costs, but in the pro forma, there's none. In the application, it's $684,000 for other costs. In the pro forma, it's $267,000. Drainage improvements, sanitary sewer installation, water main installation, they're all varying by, upwards of $30,000 to $50,000 for each line item. And, I noticed that the owner's equity, I mean, how important is that in the deal, the owner's equity, for the staff to recommend that?
It's certainly an important aspect. We look at all the various funding sources, where those are coming from, what those sources are. Home ownership projects are pretty unique. We don't do too many of those in terms of new construction. They're much different than a rental development, but that ownership equity, that kind of comes in two ways. That's up front, so that they've obviously got some risk and skin in the game, so to speak, but then that also translates to sort of recycling the funds as they build units, sell units. The proceeds from those sales then go back into the project to continue the construction.
Yeah, because I noticed in the pro forma, it doesn't, the land acquisition is, coming from Clearwater, so they're not crediting that. But then at the bottom of the pro forma, they're crediting, the city of Clearwater, their contribution, but they're not giving their contribution in the pro forma for the owner's equity. And in the application, they're justifying, the $1 million ask of funding that gap, but yet they don't even reference the owner's equity in the application or the pro forma. So if you would apply the owner's equity of almost $1 million, it would really bring down the true funding gap to $543,000 and not the $1 million that they're requesting. So I don't know if how did that flow into your process for approval?
Yeah, I think there's two things there. One's the timing, and as we talked about, the original application has changed, and there's some different updated numbers to where we are now. We typically have them do a new application when they get more hard numbers. And I think another big part of the distinction here is that pro forma is sort of a simplified pro forma, whereas our application has a lot more detail on specific costs. So when you take some of those soft costs or pre-development costs and then lump those together in the more high-level overview pro forma that we were looking at now, that, some of those numbers make up other numbers. So it's kind of hard to, unless we sit down and look at, each one specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, if that's what they're saying, because they reference the owner's equity, in like G14, G15 of the application, and in G12, their justification of the request, they don't mention the owner's equity. So they say we need this $1 million to do the deal, but they don't say, hey, but 2 paragraphs later, they're saying how they're mentioning their owner's equity, but they're not contributing that in their math to get to the $1 million justification of the funding gap. So I just, question the kind of, well, hey, if they said they could put up $1 million, why aren't they using that in their math to justify the gap?
I believe they are, and then some of the other parts of the equation is estimating the sale prices. And so, they've got to base that on what they think the units will be appraising for down the road. And so when they look at those prices and what they're going to sell the units for, and there'll be a different range of prices based on the size of the units, and it can vary based on the household income. And so they take in that revenue of what they're going to sell the units for, and that also applies to what becomes their equity.
So they're not putting up cash then, is what you're saying?
They will be putting cash in.
They will or will not be?
They will.
Yeah, I mean, so I would just, going forward, my simple perspective that if, a developer is saying, hey, we're going to put, money into the pot, I think, maybe a good board of the policy would be to subtract that in their, funding gap request, is all. So, thank you.
Okay, I've got to leave, everybody. I've got a flight I've got to go catch. Commissioner Eggers is going to take over from here. Before I go, just 2 things real quick. I want to thank Deputy Manley and Deputy Winnick for keeping us safe this morning. And under new business, next Tuesday, I have a cleaned up resolution to address using our office budgets for community events. So I'll get that out to all of you in advance to review, and we can talk about it on Tuesday. So have a great weekend, everybody. See you soon. All right.
And before we move on from this topic, I know that we're keeping track now how much money we've spent.
Correct.
looks like we've committed to almost 80 million out of the estimated 98 million.
Correct.
I remember when we first started talking about this, and there's an organization that you all have heard from recently called FAST. Their biggest concern was that we weren't going to be spending it in a timely fashion, and we said, well, we're likely to, at the very least, do it proportionally by the years, which would be, we'd be at about 50 million right now instead of 80 million. So we've accelerated the commitment. And I think, you know, again, but it's not like we're tapped out yet, but we're getting closer.
Correct.
So, anyway, and this is what our residents voted for, so it's not necessarily a policy. We proposed it based on feedback we got from our residents, and they voted to use some of this for that. So I get it. I'm just saying we're at 80 out of 98. So anyway, go ahead, Barry. Oh, yes.
Chair.
Commissioner.
Chair, I had a question.
Commissioner.
Just a question. On these projects, I don't know the mechanics of it. They file an application for penny dollars for us?
Correct.
And then we evaluate.
Yeah, we actually have a committee that looks and scores applications, and which was the case here.
So what's the application fee? And I mean,
I know that there is an application
is it a
fee.
big, is there a big fee? Look, staff puts a lot of time into evaluating these, and I just wondered do we ever get reimbursed out of these
It
deals?
really cost us. So I doubt we have an application fee, but I'll let Bruce answer that. I don't know the answer to that.
Yep.
We do not have an application fee.
Is there a reimbursement for our time and effort in evaluating and scoring all these? And
No, there's not. With some of our other funding sources, for example, the federal home funds or the state CHIP program, those come with administrative dollars. And so if we're looking at a project and we're likely to spend some of those funds, then we charge our time to that grant. But with the penny program specifically, that does not have a set aside for administration. We've looked at application fees in the past, but we haven't moved forward with that. One, you kind of have to track the time to justify that cost.
I wouldn't even ask, but we see so many of them, I'm just figuring you got dedicated people set aside to evaluate these.
We do, and there's a lot of time, like I mentioned, this last project, we've talked to probably over a year. So we have a lot of initial calls and conversations about the program, letting developers know about the program, how it works. And there's quite a bit of back and forth and getting the information, vetting that information and doing that. But that's our job, is to administer these funds and frankly spend the least amount of money we can for the most affordable housing units.
Seems like we should be getting
We can look.
reimbursement for our staff costs to put these deals together for other people.
We can look
Seems
at
that
it.
way to me.
Obviously, the reason they're coming to us is for a subsidy, so I don't know if that bakes into a bigger subsidy later or whatever,
Well, maybe
but
it should be
these
something that should be
projects-
allowable under the penny fund itself.
These projects do take, this one's fairly quick. Some of these projects take years. And the reason we have the trust fund is because of the way we want that land ownership. Sometimes it involves cleanup of land, old mobile home parks. Those things take years. And they're problematic. There's not clean sites available, in Pinellas County, as you well know. And so,
Yes, I know well.
So they get involved in a lot of very tricky land situations, and we're trying to reduce our exposure. So you'll see ones that are very straightforward and take a year or whatever, and you'll see ones that take 3 or 4 years.
Well, that's expensive to project management, so.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, if we're subsidizing that with the taxpayer money to support the staff to do it, maybe we should be, that should be part of the cost that from the penny should be paying for that.
Commissioner Nowicki?
Good point, Commissioner Scheer. Bruce, one more quick question, Bruce. Do we ever, since Commissioner Scheer got me hot to trot, I guess, do we ever negotiate these contracts? Because it seems like some of these developers are repeat folks getting a lot of money, and that they reference in their applications they're building hundreds of the same home over and over again, but yet we're paying or subsidizing design fees of $500,000, architectural fees of $1 million in their own application. I mean, they're saying, well, we're just building the same home on repeat. I mean, I have a real estate business. I know Commissioner Scheer, is a developer. I mean, I just find it hard to believe that, the true design costs of building the same home on a vacant lot would cost that much when someone is applying economy to scale, building thousands of homes, and even their construction costs, like we talked about on the phone yesterday, in their own application, are the same cost of me just going to hire a contractor to build me one single family home, but yet they're building hundreds of homes in a 13-mile or a 6-mile little plat, and they're paying the same cost retail. So it really just doesn't, make sense to me on why we just kind of like, or to me, it somewhat appears like that it's not, a sharpened pencil in some of those, key aspects where I think they do have economies of scale, and to me, those numbers seem a little bit misleading. So do we negotiate those? Do we get receipts from the contractors? How does that work? And
Yeah, the short answer in terms of negotiation, absolutely. That kind of starts in terms of the overall program where, what an ask might be, what that per unit subsidy might be, if a project's a non-starter, if they're looking for $100,000 per unit, there's some of that initial upfront. But then by the time we get to the application point, yes, we look at every line item cost. Our staff analyzes that. If we have questions, if we think something looks high, we go back for more information. So those numbers change quite a bit between the time we start talking to an applicant, reviewing that application, and presenting a proposal to you. Following initial board approval, we hire a third party to review all of that. They do a cost reasonableness analysis. We look for bids for different types of the work that they do. So that's kind of throughout the process in different stages and different formats. In terms of with the funding, if we provide $1 million of a construction funding, we don't hand them that money the next day and say, go build the project. We work with them up front. We work out a draw schedule. We look at those costs. We pay on a reimbursement basis as a percentage of the overall construction. So we track all the project costs that go into that. So at the end of the day, we've got a complete record of all contracts, project costs, and expenses for the project.
so in, a case, they're saying the construction cost is, $223,000, per unit, let's just hypothetically. And so let's say it comes in at, we award it here, approved. You go hire the third party, analyze everything, go through everything. They start building, submitting receipts, reimbursements to a draw on that subsidy. Does the number ever come in less than what they submitted in the application?
It has, yes.
And then do we still,
More often, it's on like a land appraisal, for example. If we're buying the land, then the appraisal might come in less, and so we reduce that amount. Same thing, there might be, probably a conservative estimate when somebody applies for funding because they don't know how long that's going to take. It's going to take us a process to get it to the board. It's going to take a closing, so is that going to be 3 months, 6 months? So a lot of the estimates are a little bit conservative, and so sometimes when they do go out and get a general contractor bid, it comes in below that, and so that kind of proportionately reduces each funding source, including the county's funding source.
so, when they're doing the, county subsidy as the reimbursement for construction, and it comes in less, the county, even though approved by the board and passed the audit, wouldn't give that full amount if it comes in less.
Correct. So if we thought it was $1 million project and it comes back at $900,000, we would reduce percentage-wise our component of the project as each one, so.
Okay, thank you.
And, Barry, I think it's really important that we're going to get that workshop item.
Yep.
For not only the new guys, but for all of us to kind of look back through it. I was having some discussions with Bruce before the meeting about some other things on affordable housing, questions that I have. So things evolve and change, and I think that's going to be a great discussion. So the sooner, the better, I think.
We want to get everything together, and we want to have one of our consultants that does this, throughout the country, to where we can get different ideas and thoughts, and they can give you their own opinions, right? So they're trying to get that together. We're trying to target the April meeting. I think that's when we targeted, Tom. So they can get everybody here and have a fruitful discussion. We want to get you information in advance to where you can see it, talk about it, think about it, and then we come here and have a good, fruitful discussion. Listen, affordable housing has changed dramatically over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, the cost, everything, so, you know, it's a fair discussion. It's a good timing to have that discussion. So.
Rehab projects are now being considered.
Well, and
They weren't in the beginning.
No, and remember, we brought a project to you under rehab, but we're also seeing rehab numbers almost as much as new construction, and I mean.
Not quite.
So, not quite, but my point, that's the reason we should discuss these here.
Commissioner, go ahead.
Thank you. To that, one of the other questions I've been dreaming about is compliance. Who makes sure that who checks their rental rates every month to make sure they're charging the right rate? And what does that cost us to do every year to follow up with these different projects we're approving and making sure that they're not charging more rent than they're allowed to charge under the agreement?
Yeah, compliance monitoring is a critical component, and typically, when we're doing a rental housing project, we make that a cost that the owner is responsible for. So in other words, in the agreements that the county places on the project and the property, the owner of the multifamily complex needs to hire a third-party monitor approved by the county to do that monitoring. And so the monitor comes out on a one-year basis and usually does a sampling to go through all their records and look at their income verification and make sure that they're meeting the minimal guidelines. And so then we get that report, our staff reviews it. If there's any concerns, we'll follow up and make sure that they either come into compliance.
So we do have staff that monitors this. Is it a large department, a small department?
Pretty small department. Our housing staff's about 13 people. And so our staff basically monitors the monitor. So the apartment owner hires a third-party agency to go out and do a monitoring report. That monitoring report gets submitted to us, and our staff reviews that for any concerns. If they're out of compliance, then we'll send a notification as well to that owner, letting them know what they need to do to come into compliance.
And who pays for our monitoring? Do they pay for us to monitor them as a?
No, that's an expense that that typically gets charged to the grant source. If it's a SHIP funded project or a home funded project, and somebody on our team's monitoring that, then they charge their time to that administrative pot of money that comes with those state and federal grants.
But the third-party review, that's, the developer does that.
Right, the developer pays for the
They pay
third
for
party.
that review, we just review the report.
Right. But we have costs to
We do.
monitor.
We do.
And I want to make sure that we're being,
Well, some of them, they have a funding source if it has a grant that where we can charge it back against. Other ones like this,
we don't.
it would be on us.
So then we're using our real estate taxes to fund monitoring of projects that are supposed to be supported by penny dollars.
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
I want to make sure that, again, that related to this project, because we could really go down a rabbit hole today for another couple of hours on, and we're not ready for that meeting, but if you have something specific to this, go ahead. Because I think it is important. I just want to make sure we're not going to have the whole affordable housing conversation today. Yeah. No, I get it. That's why I'm.
Yeah, no, I guess it's not specific to this project. Well, it would be specific to this project, but it
Well,
would
then go
apply
ahead.
to,
Go
well,
ahead.
but it's not really, like,
Policy.
it is, but it isn't. It would be a policy kind of thing.
Policy thing, so we'll
yeah,
do that in April.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right,
Anything else?
all right, item 20, award acceptance and agreement, Florida Department of Children and Family Services. This is a grant funds, and you can see it's a collaboration and the groups that are getting funding. Item 21, Second Amendment to an agreement with the Homeless Emergency Project. This is a homeless empowerment program for emergency shelter. And so, again, the breakdown was.
And the extra money, Barry, is for extending it a couple of years too,
Correct.
correct? It's not just for shortfall.
That's correct, Karen?
It's extending the agreement.
Yeah. Karen, yes? Yeah. Mhm. Item 22 is a termination agreement for convenience with Directions for Mental Health. I'm going to ask Karen this was a cooperative decision, but I'll let her explain that because I'll get the exact details wrong. She told me and I forgot.
Hi, good afternoon. Karen Yachim, Human Services Director. So this was a mutual termination with Directions for Living. The CABI program is a 3-part program with 3 organizations. It's with West Care, Operation PAR, and Directions for Living. So we had initiated all 3 of those agreements. We met with Directions. They found an alternative funding source for the services that they would be providing. And so we moved forward with a mutual termination.
Item 23 is comprehensive plan amendment with zoning atlas amendment. This is for City of Clearwater, so future land use and zoning of a specific parcel, cooperative point. And it's because we were the co-owners of that property? Yeah, that makes it, I was wondering why it was on here and not under our zoning. Or future land use plan. Future land use change amendment? Okay, so this is us as an owner. It'll come back to you for a future land use amendment change. Item 24 is change order number 1 to an agreement with Suncoast Development. This is the American Rescue Plan. This is for package number 2. This change order is because of the Safe Routes to Schools program. I'm forgetting everything today, so. What was the specific change on this? More? Okay. Okay, so this is package number 2. All right. Item 25 is local agency program agreement with Florida Department of Transportation. This is construction and inspection services for Beckett Bridge. Item 26, an agreement with CDW for IT services. Item 27 is Lellman Community Area Residential Improvement Grant Program changes. So they recommended some program changes into this. And I think this will have a good, so it changes it to a sliding match requirement from the applicant based upon income levels, so they have skin in the game. We have that on the commercial side. We didn't have that on the residential side. So this is kind of best practices, what some of the other CRAs are doing also.
Under item number 28, I'm requesting authority to initiate a foreclosure action on the referenced property. This is against a lien that was imposed by the special magistrate on a code enforcement case. Under item number 29, I have passed around the file folder with the confidential memo in it. Commissioner Sear, I was going to say I see it over there, so if you have a chance to read it, I will come and grab that from you when the meeting is over. I currently am not planning any reports.
I will have a report. We're going to have Ryan Flannery in with Horn. This is for our CDBG DER program, so they're going to give you a general overview of where we're at with that program. As we put out in a memo, we have a very tight timeline. We're going to be reaching out and having conversations with Big C, with the communities. That timeline's really tight, and then we're going to bring that back in a program format to you. That'll trigger the next phase, which is a public input piece. Again, we have so they're going to start talking at a high level about the types of programs that we can administer under this program. I will tell you, we have concerns with the cuts that are occurring at the federal level of how that's going to affect the administration of the program. We have to get approval from HUD, and so there may be, some delays and stuff depending upon how it goes, because again, this is a CDBG program. Item 32 are appointments and reappointments to Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council, and 33 is appointments to the Emergency Medical Services Medical Control Board. Then moving on over to public hearings. This is the first item is the short-term rental. We're going to have a very fruitful discussion. I know you're getting a lot of correspondence regarding that, and I know we have speakers signed up to speak. Kevin will be here to have that discussion with you. And the last is a TEFRA hearing, and this is for Health Facilities Authority for Retirement Community Revenue Bonds. So that's it.
So Barry, on that, on 35, is it the thought that, because of getting an ordinance in place, I mean, I'm offsetting that with making sure we get it tweaked completely perfect. I just, I think we need to look at that because there's a lot unfolding here.
Yeah. We're going to go through this. I mean, this one needs to be a full presentation because there's a lot of legal pieces to this and the cleanup, okay? And so and as you've seen, every beach community has been through this over and over again. Everybody has ideas on what we can do. There's some case law out there that I'm sure Joel will speak to regarding the limits of our authority and what puts us in a best position to protect and enforce our ordinance. So we're going to need to go through those. If you're comfortable, then you can adopt it. If you're not comfortable, you want to tweak it, and it's a hearing, you can certainly do that. I'm not the expert on this, but Kevin will certainly be here, and Joel will be here to be able to walk through that.
Okay. Barry, is that it for you?
That's it.
You? Folks around the table, anything else? No good? Commissioner Scheer, you okay? Okay. All right, then we will see you on Tuesday. Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We are adjourned.
Oh, yeah, it's 2 o'clock, so. All right, thank you.
Yeah.